now for the Shop Report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? It is not Barbershop Jay, and it's not Table for One. It is Double J, and we have a special guest and a special show for you. Look at that. We appreciate that. Absolutely. Today's program, it's Mania season. It's time, as they would say. So, ladies and gentlemen, people around the world, children of all ages, Double J presents to you the Bleacher Report Wrestling's top 50 greatest of all time. And of course, without further ado, we also have the WrestleMania 40 card for this weekend and our predictions. And so that is not Barbershop Jay to my right. That is, of course, a much better co-host in every sense of the term. Yasmin, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And so right away, we're going to jump right into Bleacher Report's top 50 here. So out of all the lists that I've ever seen in my life, one of the biggest headaches and issues when we typically try to chop it up and break these things down or just simply make sense of it is what's the criteria? And for once, someone finally, finally in my best rock voice, someone gave us a criteria. So let's dive right into exactly that. And so again, what we're seeing here is historical significance. Did they have a meaningful impact on the history of the company? And then, of course, titles. We always talk about rings and, in basketball or in any other sport. So why not incorporate that here? And then, of course, how popular were they, right? We've seen the Let's Go Cena sucks chants and along with many other things. And then, of course, did they make the company money and were they a needle mover overall? And, were they a flash in a pan? Or were they, someone like a Sting that had been there for pretty much before my existence and after? And then, of course, speaking of making money, pay-per-views. Were they the headliners of these shows? Were they involved at all, or were they backstage? And then, of course, what type of, again, speaking of our current champion, did they have a good presence? And in Roman Reigns' case, initially it was, he was better off muted early on in his career. And so, were they charismatic? And so, first of all, Yasmin, how do you feel about this criteria? Is this something you can work with?
I mean, I definitely think it is something that I can work with. I do think that all of the bullet points, I think that they do break down like the character of a person more as like how they are in the ring. How they are just more as a person, like as a character in WWE.
Awesome. And so without further ado, again, because we got so much in such little time, it always feels that way. Let's dive in to number 50. The Big Show.
Oh.
So we got a list of accomplishments here. Of course, he was a two-time champion, two-time heavyweight champion, ECW, Intercontinental, very decorated.
Absolutely.
Right. Of course, he came from WCW where he was the Giant. And then, of course, once the company's switch, he had some, mix it up with the likes of Stone Cold, The Rock. I mean, again, those are not small characters by any means.
Right.
So what's your take on how we're getting things kicked off here with number 50?
Okay, so somebody like the Big Show, I think that I'm not gonna lie, he definitely, in my opinion, I think he should be higher than 50. But even though I didn't necessarily watch him growing up. My brothers did, definitely, but even though I didn't watch him growing up, I still know definitely a lot about him and like his character in WWE. I definitely think that he had a big impact on WWE. He was very popular. He might not have been like very popular to like other people like to say, but I think that he was still like, I think that he's still big enough to probably be higher than 50. He might not have been everybody's favorite, but he definitely had a lot of talent. He was very good in the ring, and I think that like even during his title runs, I think that he was able to showcase like why he was a good champion. So I think he should be higher than 50.
And you know what? And the people are speaking and they're agreeing with you. We got shout out to Twin and the 2 stars as well. It sounds like we might know who that is, but again, I'm leaning with you. I think that was a very accurate breakdown. For me, there was once upon a time I can remember when this dude was untouchable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you think of a handful of individuals that came into the company and then simply were unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with what he did and primarily in WCW was incredible. Ultimately with NWO as well. Again, you can't really mention the Attitude Era without including the Big Show. So I'm going to lean with you on this. It really kind of sets it up where who the heck is 49 and below?
Exactly.
Because if he's at 50, then we really are going to have either some great people ahead or we're going to be left scratching our heads. So let's keep things moving along. I know D Gully is on his way. He said he has the belt in hand. He's got the championship belt in hand. So, again, he spent more time in makeup, I see. So, we'll go from there. There's much to be said. So hang on, bear with me just a second while I get, I'm on the wrong card here. And then here we go. Lita at 49. Okay. 4-time champion, 4-time, of course, WWE Hall of Famer in 2014. Lita at 49. I'm going to turn it over to you right away.
Okay. I have a bit of a problem with this one. So I have a problem with that one. Lita is one of the, I feel like I can speak for everyone on this one when I say Lita was probably one of the biggest, not even female superstars, but one of the biggest superstars to ever wrestle, like ever. So for her to be at 49, just knowing like what she accomplished, I mean, just from her winning the title multiple times to her feud with Trish Stratus to her with even the Hardy Boys, I feel like she should be way higher than 49. I mean, she's even inducted into the Hall of Fame. Lita is in her own category. I feel like she made a name for herself and she was able to get like more women with her to be able to stand up for what they wanted to. And back then people would call the women superstars diva. I feel like she was the one to put a stop to that and say, we're not just divas, we're superstars too. So
valid.
She definitely should be higher than 49 in my opinion.
The interesting, so you see the comment over the Big Show is a huge take, and you're absolutely right. But at the same time, you nailed it, right? We were talking about it in that particular Attitude Era. You had Sable in previous, even in coming from the 80s, you had where they were kind of an arm piece. They weren't standalone wrestlers and superstars in their own right. And again, the more quote unquote eye candy, if you were to say it, kind of go on that limb, she was talent. Absolutely. There were things that she was doing that you just otherwise hadn't seen anyone else do. So while I personally, when I was looking at it, kind of struggled with it at first, now I can understand why someone, put her up there. And again, a Hall of Famer, as you pointed out. So I think, again, very well done and said on why she belongs in that spot. All right. And so moving right along, we got at 48, we have Vader. And oh my, of course, Hall of Famer just 2 years ago. And I talked about WCW a little earlier, but naturally he had a lengthy run on that side of things. This is definitely a little earlier in that 90s time frame, if we want to call it that. So this is where we kind of go by decades. But so again, this is someone who had kind of combated with, Bret Hart, Jake the Snake Roberts, Shawn Michaels. What's your say on Vader at 48?
Okay, so like you mentioned, he did have very good feuds, with Jake the Snake Roberts and Bret Hart. Vader to me was very good. He was very good. He was talented in the ring. He was like even just him as a character in WWE. I think that he had a lot of charisma. He was very good, and I do definitely think he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, to me, I think he deserved that a lot. Now I'm not gonna put my dad out like that, but he's somebody from my dad's era, so I didn't really I didn't grow up watching him, but I do, like I said, I do know a little bit about him, and I do think that to me he should be a little higher on this list. He wasn't one of my favorites, but he was somebody that if somebody were to mention him, I could say a lot of good things about him because he was a good superstar.
I couldn't agree more. Again, there's something that it needs to be stated when you don't have we put too much emphasis almost on those belts. Again, as speaking of belts, as I pointed out with Gully, that's still why he's not here, because of that belt. So again, naturally with Vader, you don't have some of the other greats without someone like Vader. And so again, that legendary, it's Vader time will live forever. And so I like that he's in the top 50. And so 47, we're going to move right along to Dean Ambrose. Now, I know you said that was a little before your time previously with Vader. This certainly wouldn't be. Talk about someone who did a lot in a short amount of time. Of course, WWE champion, Intercontinental champion, US champion, and of course, Mr. Money in the Bank in 2016. What do you got to say about Dean Ambrose?
Okay, Dean Ambrose is actually one of my favorites. He was so good. Just his character. I loved his character. Him as a champion, the feuds that he had, just the performance that he was able to put on in WWE was always so good to me. Like whenever I would tune in to SmackDown, I would always, wonder what was next with him. And I would always just wonder, like, okay, what is he going to do next? What's going to happen this time? He was very good. His time with the Shield, I really enjoyed. Ooh. I love the time with the Shield with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Seth had to ruin that, but it's okay. Because after the Shield was done, Dean was able to put on good matches with Roman as well as Seth. So the fact that he was able to work with both of them, not as a team, but as opponents, that just makes him like even better of a person or as a superstar in WWE to me.
Couldn't agree more. Again, when you think of what the Shield did as a collective, I brought up kind of the Big Show being an unstoppable force. When those guys came through, there was a part of me that, despite being in my mid-20s at that point in time, I was having a hard time. Just, was this reality or was this fiction?
Yeah.
It was that good. And so what he was able to do, again, being a champion, I think it could be it gets forgotten that he did it first before, again, Seth freaking Rollins or Roman Reigns. He really kind of set the bar for those guys. And of course, and I think he moved to the other company, but naturally certainly made an impact in that short amount of time. It's not a surprise that the additional counterparts of the Shield and what they're doing currently.
Absolutely.
All right. So 46 is none other than AJ Styles himself. course, WWE Champion, Intercontinental Champion, U.S. Champion, and of course the Raw Tag Team Champion. Uh, how do you feel about this one?
Okay. So at first, AJ Styles I wasn't a huge fan of him, but eventually over the years he did grow on me. AJ was definitely somebody to put on good feuds with different people. He was able to work with different people in the ring. And he was so good. They put him on the cover of 2K19. So I mean,
Right.
you have to have some, kind of impact in order for you to get put on the cover of a game. So he was very good. Like I said, like he was able to work very well with other people in the ring. He was able to put on like a good performance no matter what. He was good on the mic too. His mic skills and like his promos I did enjoy. So I think he's a pretty good superstar. He should be maybe a little higher, but I think that the spot's not too bad for him.
Yeah, you're not kidding. We may have found a permanent replacement here on this show. Might have to put Old Yeller out behind the shed,
Yeah.
But with essentially, I can't agree more with what you said. That cover of 2K is it's such a wonderful point because you're right. That speaks to nothing short of what impact you have on the company and what you did in that particular year. Again, when you think about who AJ Styles has gone up against in this millennia, you're talking about nothing short of an entire list of Hall of Famers. And so they don't just pick anybody to do that. You have to be able to bring it, and he has done exactly that and had success while doing it. So from my end, I completely agree with you. So we'll keep this thing moving right along. And we are at 45 with someone that is making noise more recently. And so where do we feel? Wow, 45. Again, I'll turn it right over. I'm a little bit speechless on this one, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I don't like that at all. Number 45 for Asuka. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Asuka to me is probably one of the biggest, not even a female superstar, but to me, she's one of the biggest stars in WWE, even from her time in NXT to her time now and what she was doing with Damage Control and what she's just doing as a superstar now. I think that she should be way higher than 45. I mean, like I was touching on earlier, her time in NXT when, she had her title run. And, she would put on good matches or whatnot. She even had a feud with Amber Moon at one point. That was a good feud. I always enjoyed that too.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh, good call.
She was like in NXT, even though she was popular, but she wasn't like super, super big as like she was now. She was still always able to draw me in to want to watch her matches even more. And I feel like that's not even just me. I feel like that's with fans too. Asuka is very enjoyable to watch. She's somebody that can work with, like, no matter who it is, she's able to work with them no matter what. She's able to put on good matches, put up good rivalries, and I personally feel like she's deserving of any type of title match or any title opportunity that she has, because I feel like she just has that in her because she's that good of a superstar.
Yeah, and something again. Remember, I believe she lost to Charlotte Flair.
Yep, WrestleMania. I remember that.
And I love all of the points that you made. Someone that has done it again. The body of work is there. The quality, the presence in ring. Again, I look at some of that, kind of revisiting some of that criteria, and I'm with you that I could absolutely make the recommendation that 45 could be 35 for me, and so I completely agree that it's right now. They have these folks have some work cut out for them based on who they've already selected in just a short amount of time. So with that being said, let's keep this show rolling. And we're going to move on right away to 44. Kofi Kingston. Hey, I thought you were Jamaican, you know?
Okay, so I have a problem with this one too. I don't like 44 for Kofi Kingston. He's been in WWE for a very long time. Somebody that my brothers grew up with. So Kofi, to me, definitely should be higher than this because his impact, just him with the New Day and him as just a superstar as himself, he was able to like captivate the audience as well. He was able to want people to want more from him and just to expect more from any type of performance that he was putting on. And his title runs, any title run that he had was very enjoyable. He was always so fun and just no matter like what his character was at the time, he was just able to captivate you and just want you to see what he was going to do next. So I think he should be higher than this.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue that. Obviously, the New Day, what he was able to do with them, what he was able to do independently, watching his rise. And again, someone with one of the criterias that were listed was about tenure. And he's been able to, stay within the company. It feels like, oh my gosh, it feels like almost 20 years. That he's been with them. And that in itself really, that it's, you hear Triple H all the time say this is a really difficult business. And yet you see someone like Kofi be able to hang around that long and remain relevant and still be able to deliver, as you pointed out, both independently and with a group. So I agree. And, with what you guys, have both mentioned. And of course, you guys in the comments as well. It definitely very much appreciated to those out there. Again, as our host likes to say, we are of the people, not above the people. And so we have reached our break point. So we're gonna take a quick TO and be back in about we'll call it a 30-second, or better yet, we'll go 1 minute.
Jay Cunningham, you watching the Shop Report.
I'm Homie Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
All right, and welcome back. And we're going to keep moving this thing right along. And we are going to 43, which is one half of the Hardy brothers, Jeff Hardy specifically, of course, a WWE champion, a world heavyweight champion, intercontinental champion, European champion, just about every champion you can name. This man has done it, including with multiple companies at WCW as well. So Yasmin, I'm going to turn it right over because you've been on fire thus far. Let's see. What do you have for one half of the Hardy brothers?
Probably not going to believe what I say next, but I have a problem with this one too. So I want to know who made this list personally, because Jeff Hardy, I feel like I can speak for everyone when I say this too. Jeff Hardy was probably one of the biggest superstars like ever. So for him to be to me, this is low, because the impact that he had on WWE from, when he was in his prime to even now when he returned at WrestleMania with his brother, I think that no matter what time, no matter when he comes back or when he returns, no matter anytime he makes an appearance, I feel as if he is always able to these comments. I'm sorry, but I feel like he's always able to captivate everybody watching because Jeff Hardy is just, to me, he's incredible. He was Jeff Hardy is one of my favorites. Even you know, when he had this crazy moment where he speared Edge off the ladder.
My
I mean,
gosh.
come on. Like, who do you know does that? I mean,
No.
and you know, even when he would always be crazy and go on top of these high buildings and do flips and who else is doing that besides Jeff Hardy? I mean, he would always put on a 5-star performance every single time, no matter what match it was. Jeff Hardy was always somebody that you would want to see no matter what. So I think he should be higher.
So I couldn't agree more. Look, in middle school, you didn't get in trouble wrestling with grappling. It was from jumping off of a desk or some kind of playground equipment, and you were doing that because of the Hardy Boys.
Absolutely.
So yes, I couldn't agree more. This one is a little perplexing to me as well because of his accomplishments. I almost feel like, unfortunately, he's being condemned for things that happened outside of, you know, the squared circle, if we want to call it that. You could absolutely move him down, and I would have absolutely had no problem with it whatsoever. So very well said. Again, highly decorated. Get both of them into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
I think with Vince out of the way now, maybe, you know, some more amends will, you know, so the bridges will be rebuilt, hopefully. But very well said on Mr. Hardy, and ravishing Rick Rude. So we're gonna go in the way back machine. Again, we're at 42. Talk about, okay. Okay, how do we feel? Guys? Even in the comments, I know what charisma was a part of this. And again, one thing about the early 80s and in I would say early to mid 90s is that you didn't have to have a belt to be relevant in the company and to have a very strong, you know, support system and fan base. And I think Rick Rude is very much a testament of that. But Yasmin, I'm turning it over right to you as well. What are your thoughts on ravishing Rick Rude at 42?
Okay, so again, I don't mean to do him like that, but this is someone from my dad's era. So I don't know too much about him. Love you, Dad. I'm sorry, but I don't know too much about him. However, like you said, he didn't need to have a belt or anything like that. He didn't need to have any kind of crazy storyline or anything like that. He was just good on his own. And he had a good fan base behind him. He was able to, you know, get the crowd to support him. He was able to put on good performances. He had a lot of charisma as well. He was a good character. To me, he was a good character in WWE. And I feel like anybody else could say that. They could get behind that, even though he might not have been anybody's like fan favorite or whatnot. I feel like you could definitely say that he was a good character in WWE. So I feel like he should be higher than 42.
Agreed. Again, when you for those that remember Val Venus in the 90s, I feel like he was very much a spin-off of Rick Rude. Again, this was a forgive me, a very hypersexualized era in the sport. And again, charisma and what this guy did, and you know, with the mic was, you know, really he was one of the greats from that side of things, and certainly brought it inside of the ring as well. But I could have seen him higher, you know, than some of the folks that we've mentioned, and I think I would have been a little bit more okay with that. But again, I don't want to fall victim to the recency bias either. So I definitely understand what made him you know, kind of stand out. And again, for those that remember WrestleMania 5, I believe, against the Ultimate Warrior, who was a personal favorite of mine, That was, of course, an incredible particular, match
Mm-hmm.
specifically. So here we go. All right, moving right along. We're at 41 with Sasha Banks. Again, NXT Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown, and of course, tag team as well. Again, I don't think this one's your dad's era anymore. So
This is my era.
Yep. So what are your thoughts on Sasha Banks here at 41?
Sasha, to me, should be way higher than 41. And I feel like anybody can say that because from her time when she first started in NXT, her title run was so good. It was so good to me. She in NXT, she was incredible. I mean, even if she were to never make it up to the main roster, I feel like in NXT, she would have been unstoppable, even just as good as she was on the main roster. And even the match that she had at NXT TakeOver, I think it was, with Bayley, that match was so incredible. I rewatch it all the time because she was that good. Bayley too, they both put on an incredible performance that night. And even in her time, although she's not in the WWE anymore, her time that she had, she was able to put on so many good matches with so many different women. She was a tag team with Naomi. They had the titles for a little while, and they had to let those go. But the time that they had with each other, they had a short time, but I feel like they were able to work well with each other because they used to be in a tag team with Tamina, a Team Bad. So I feel like they were able to work with each other well, just to rekindle that, even as a tag team. So I think I really enjoyed that with Sasha Banks and Naomi. Even with her feud with Bianca Belair, I mean, at WrestleMania, that match was incredible. Loved it so much. There wasn't a boring moment in that match. I mean, because Bianca and Sasha, they both were really able to captivate the audience a lot. And I feel like Sasha Banks, even though her time was ending in WWE, the fans and myself included always wanted to see what she was going to do next. Like, no matter what was going to happen with her, you would always expect more from her. So I definitely feel like she should be way higher on this list.
Yeah, and I love the point that you made about NXT. Personally, I always kind of had this weird, almost kind of fear, like, was it going to fail? And were they able to have a personality that could make that a flagship into, in standalone in the manner that it is today? And the answer, of course, is yes, but you have to give credit to really who were the pioneers that did that. And this is certainly one of them. So I love that you highlighted that as well, because it no truer words have been spoken. And as you mentioned, the feud with Bianca Belair, that speaks for itself. So love all of those points. And speaking of superstars, we're going to round out the top the back half of the top 10 here with superstar Billy Graham, again a WWE champion, and was also inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004. Again, this is certainly from my end. This is someone who helped kind of roll out what you think of a WWE superstar. Like, this was someone who had the muscles. He didn't look like your traditional character that you would see passing by on the street. And so again, this is really going back to the early stages of the company and going against guys that have had some of the longest runs as champion, which was, of course, Bruno Sammartino. And this, of course, as you see here, he ended that second reign of Bruno Sammartino's as champion, of course, in 1977. So from where I'm standing, again, you have to, even though we appreciate all of the things of today, we have to understand who helped really set the stage for that. And that's where someone like Billy Graham, who was not as decorated, but naturally, again, still managed to become the champion of the company, which is no small feat. There's folks that we've seen higher on this list that weren't capable of doing that. and of course, ending someone's streak. Hello, paging WrestleMania 40 card. We might be talking about that a little bit later, but
can't wait to get into that. Woo.
Yep. And so again, this is someone who has gone against, speaking of one of the Rhodes family, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. And so, do you have any thoughts on superstar Billy Graham before we move forward to the 30s?
I think you know what I'm gonna say. Dad's era. So love you, Dad. But I don't know too much about Billy Graham. However, I feel like he had everything a superstar should be. He had the look, he had the charisma, and although to me he wasn't as decorated in the ring, he still was able to put on very good matches no matter, who he was going against. He was very good. He had good title reigns or whatnot. I enjoyed Billy Graham, so I don't have anything bad to say about him.
Awesome. Couldn't agree more. Again, so now we're going to start moving our way towards the business end of it. And 39, Rob Van Dam. All right. I've been able to see him for most of my life, but just for those that haven't, again, going through a list of his accomplishments, ECW champion. I remember him largely from that originally. That's how I got introduced to him. He's a hardcore champion, Intercontinental, tag team, Money in the Bank, and of course, naturally a Hall of Famer as well. What do you have to say about Rob Van Dam?
So Rob Van Dam, I actually really like. I like Rob Van Dam a lot. He was actually one of my brother's favorites, and he was very good. He was very talented in the ring. Just him as a character in WWE, he was very talented. And my brother and I were actually talking about this earlier. The feud that he had with Abyss, it was very memorable. And it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it was so memorable to where, I mean, me and him, still talk about, my brother and I still talk about that to this day, So Rob Van Dam, I think he should be higher because to me he was very good. But I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about him. He's that good to me.
All right. With that being said, we have our host D Gully. The champ is here.
After a long arrival, I hope you take a look at the tagline. I may just be Team Apple. I will not tell you what I've been through since 8:03 between my Windows 10 desktop that all of a sudden forgot permissions to allow my pod track to work, from my HP Victus laptop, which all of a sudden forgot permissions to allow my camera and my Zoom pod track PA to work, but somehow or another, through hook by crook, however, maybe it was the ghost of Steve Jobs or the current Tim Cook, to allow an Apple iPad Pro 9-inch Series 2022 to be exact, to just simply work and allow me to grace my presence on this show for the WrestleMania Go Home podcast. Thank you, Apple. I might just get an iPhone. I definitely got an iPad. And Yasmin, thank you for coming and saving the day for us. Thank you, Double J, for having the show. I appreciate it. I'm done with my rant for now.
All right.
Okay, for now.
So here's the thing. We're at number 39 here, and we have Rob Van Dam. I'm going to throw you right into the fire. How do you feel about Rob Van Dam?
Being at 39?
Yes.
Of the top 50 WWE superstars, right?
That's right.
Yep.
This is of all time.
Rob Van Dam being 30. See, I'm going to tell you something, man. To have 50 is a bit much.
Whoa. What do you mean?
Because to me, Rob Van Dam can be 39, Rob Van Dam can be 32, Rob Van Dam can be 31, Rob Van Dam can be it's so large that I feel like we really only know Shop report. Look at him. How's the ghost of the
Oh,
shop?
no more ice cream for me. Oh no. No. Okay, Dad, I'm sorry. I'll stop. I promise.
No.
I'm not gonna stop, by the way.
Yeah, no, don't.
No,
Can't
it's
stop.
not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. No,
Hey.
absolutely not.
Absolutely. Well, wait. Go back up to his ranking, please.
Absolutely. So again, we have him at 39. And
I'm going to tell you, I don't have any argument with that. I don't necessarily know that I have an argument with that right now. His WWE superstar. See, this is the thing. Where I put it like this. Since WWE purchased ECW, they purchased their legacy as well. And since they bought WCW, they purchased WCW Legacy as well. Right. But even though they purchased it, they still moved WWE. They still operated the WWE assets that they acquired like they were WWE. I don't think Rob Van Dam's WWE Legacy puts him higher than 39. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get that. But again, you're gonna have to merge them, and that's the thing. When we looked at the criteria for this, there were a few that were far less decorated, but you could see where that attribute mix, if we were to call it that, were certainly some of the pendulums were swung towards things like charisma. Or overall impact in terms of what their legacy with some of the feuds that they had. So to your point with RVD,
yeah,
what he did in ECW and WCW, certainly that was how I was introduced to him. So I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So what I'm doing, and pardon my gaze from off of the screen here, I want to make sure that I want to look at that criteria, and I'm going to be glancing back and forth at that frequently as we go through the list, so that way we understand. That way I understand what they're saying, so that way I can say, yeah, I'm gonna tell you like this. I looked at that top 10 already, and I have a major problem with the top 10.
Well, we're gonna park that again. Here's that criteria for those at home as well, that are tuning in. Again, historical significance, championships, popularity. Needle mover, both in ratings, ticket sales, etc. How long of a tenure they had, pay-per-view, and of course the skills which are in the ring itself, as we saw with Lita, or Mike, and charisma that we've seen with some of the others.
So listen, this here to me is all subjective, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if this is their criteria, ain't no way Rob Van Dam is there are not 38 superstars better than Rob Van Dam. Even in this WWE area.
Well, there are not? Did I hear that correct?
There are not 38 more superstars ahead of Rob Van Dam, if this is what they're looking at.
Whoa. Okay.
Well,
I think that's a perfect...
There are not 38 more superstars ahead of RVD.
All right. Well, we're going to find out, because apparently there are. And so let's not waste any more time. Oh, the Blue Blazer himself, Owen Hart.
I mean, all right, man. I had this thing about championships, right? I have a stigma about championships, and I understand what professional wrestling is and what professional wrestling should be. At some point, just like, okay, if we talk about other sports being truly genuine, left up to the competitors and not left up to a story they're going to tell.
Here we go. Yep.
Right?
Sure.
You make a case that the NBA champion played the best and he won at the best level. The NFL Super Bowl world champion played the best and won at the best level. Even though the WWE and professional wrestling arbitrarily names who's the guy to lead the guys, there's still a case to be made for, hey, that guy should have been that guy. Owen Hart is probably the best wrestler, arguably the second best wrestler never to win the game's grand prize. Him,
absolutely.
He and Razor and Scott Hall, Razor Ramon are the two.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. There's three actually.
You're gonna end up being four.
No, there might be four, but I can tell you the top three. I can tell you the three that immediately I think all and Yasmin, even given your age, you probably would agree.
Absolutely.
Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, and Mr. Perfect are the three should have been that should have had that title.
That's a good top. That's a good top three. I didn't even think about that. So no, that's a good top three.
Yeah. Thank you, D-Rump. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
I love it.
So that being said, Owen Hart being placed ahead of a WWE champion, right? Because what's the name won the title?
There was more than one. Yeah, absolutely. There was more than one champion on that list. That's north of him.
No, what I mean is compared to RVD. RVD did win the strap, right? Or did he win the world heavyweight? He won a big gold belt.
Correct.
Okay, so he didn't win the WWE title. He won the big gold belt, which was the World Heavyweight Championship.
No, he was the WWE champion.
Okay, he wanted Owen Hart being ahead of him. That makes sense because Owen Hart's career was defined exclusively in WWE, and he made the mark. He should have been. Only his tragic demise prevented him from actually being there. Really. Because by the time 1999 happened, who else was in the way? Right? There was still Shawn Michaels had retired. There was the era of Austin.
And this is Rock Austin time.
This is Rock Austin and like it or not, this is Rock Austin Hunter time.
Yep, Triple H. Yep.
Owen Hart's untimely demise would have put him in line in that era. And then regardless of that era, then you would have also had pre-WCW closure, you would have had the arrival of Y2J. I definitely see a program with Owen Hart and Y2J battling for this belt here.
I mean, that's what I was going to ask. You both is how much did his untimely demise? Again, that's why I specifically mentioned the Blue Blazer. Influenced his placement here because of, I think, what all of us seem to be kind of, as you kind of mentioned, Gully, what was likely next, what we all could see coming, that ultimately, of course, unfortunately, was not able to truly manifest.
Think of it this way. He survived the scrutiny of the WWE picking on him because Bret Hart left. Remember, they let Shawn Michaels get away with that nugget comment, and he rode that wave. Matter of fact, he even incorporated that into his theme song. What was that theme song that he had after? There was a theme song. Jim Johnson. I'll look it up. The theme song had voiceovers from him, and he even included the "I am not a nugget." You know what I'm saying? He did that. Then he went back to the Blue Blazer, persona, the Blue Blazer gimmick that he wanted to avoid, and he played that up very well. We all knew it was him, but he played it like it wasn't him. He did everything the company asked of him. They were going to give that respect.
And this is where I get D-Runk's point that look,
because Owen Hart was never placed in a position to have that.
Right.
He was never
you're right that when you think of kind of the Hart family as a whole, they were by the book. Our talent is going to speak for, our quality is going, regardless of what came with it or didn't in terms of, success to the outside world. They were going to go about their business the right way. And it, of course, came with unfortunately, a lot of tragedy. Yasmin, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Is he being given, is he placed too high or too low because of what he did or didn't accomplish?
You know what? I feel like his spot on this list, I feel like it should stay because, I mean, even though he did accomplish a lot. I mean, Owen Hart was very good, but I feel like even though he didn't win the big prize, if he was like the big prize in WWE, I feel like it only makes you wonder, like what more could he have done in WWE? And I don't know. I feel like his place on this list, for some people, I feel like for some people, like someone said they didn't bring out an Owen Hart action figure. I mean, I feel like some people didn't, I don't want to say didn't appreciate, but didn't really recognize, what he was doing or what he could have done. So I don't know. I feel like his place should it could stay here, in my opinion. I don't know.
Think of it this way. He had a new Heart Foundation with Coco Beware and Jim Neidhart, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so he helped to bring, and I'm never a fan of new additions of any stables, new versions of the Four Horsemen. The original Four Horsemen, even though I grew up in the era with the second iteration of Four Horsemen that included Lex Luger, the original Four Horsemen, the New Heart Foundation ultimately didn't work, but he made it work, right? He did his best to make it work. He legitimized him and Yokozuna as a tag team. That right there, these are two bona fide singles competitors that had a legitimate tag team, and it worked, right? He made the thing about Owen Hart is he made everything that they threw at him work.
Valid.
Absolutely.
The first person, first stable that comes to mind that make it work is the New Day, but I don't know who made everything that they threw at him work. Owen Hart did.
Well, you based on you missed it a little earlier. Kofi was already listed, and I think because of that duration of his tenure, we could argue that was who made it work for them.
Yes. Owen Hart made everything work. He even made the Blue Blazer work when they recognized that the fans saw right through it. So he made it a caricature of himself, and he still did it. Like Owen Hart, I think, Owen Hart at 38. While the rest of the list it will tell me if he should be higher, but certainly he should not be lower than 38. And that's the way I can put it. That's the best way I can put it.
All right, so let's find out who is at 37.
Oh my God.
Mr. Perfect.
Man.
Speaking of Intercontinental Champions and of course a Hall of Famer, who wants to tackle this one first?
Go ahead, Yasmin.
All right. So Mr. Perfect, I think, even though he's not my era, I feel like he should be a little higher than this because, like we talked about a couple minutes ago, his title or his run with the Intercontinental title, he was good. He was decorated in the ring. He was able to have a good fan base behind him. No matter who he was working with in the ring, he was able to put on a good performance. So I feel as if he should be a little higher on this list.
The reason why I wanted you to go first, Yasmin, is because you are the youngest of us panel.
Oh, but not in terms of knowledge.
No, but for you to
no.
This is what I'm saying. For you to be able to pull that out from Mr. Perfect, which is in fact you are spot on, tells me two things. You are seasoned and you have an accurate measure of just how great he is. I understand that The Miz is probably regarded by some as the greatest Intercontinental Champion. Mr. Perfect legitimized that belt. Mr. Perfect, he legitimized that belt. Like I said, between the three of them, he's Scott Hall and Owen Hart. I'm not certain who is the biggest what if. In terms of WWF champion, I'm gonna call it F because that's what it was. Man, listen, you know how many years I spend even to this day trying to spit out my bubble gum and catch it with my hand, like I saw the person doing the promo. Like that dude, that guy, and it was because too it's weird why they call it amateur, but he was an amateur wrestler, right? Yeah. I don't know if y'all ever heard of the plane ride from hell. Do you know what that's about?
No.
I think I've heard about it, but I don't know what it's about.
So the plane ride from hell was the instance where they was on the plane. WWE doing the show. They had to go on the plane. I forgot where they were going from, but it got chaotic, and it was at a point where Mr. Perfect. I don't know if he. I won't suggest if he had I won't suggest what the origins were, but ultimately he picked the fight with Brock Lesnar. And let's just say, I don't know if Brock won, but I know Mr. Perfect didn't lose. Okay, I'll put it that way. Because he was a collegiate wrestler himself, and Brock Lesnar is that guy for sure. He's that guy, and he was that guy ever since he came up from OVW, and he came up to the main roster. He picked a fight with him, and like I said, I don't know if Brock Lesnar, won, but I know Mr. Perfect didn't lose. I'll put it that way. That tells you how skilled he was. Okay, D-Runk. If I haven't seen Iron, yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that. Yeah, about the Von.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So Mr. Perfect to me made the Intercontinental title a worthy prize to have. If it wasn't before, even during the Hockey Talk Runs era, even during Hockey Talk Man's run with it, which is laughable, Mr. Perfect made you think like, yo, this is a legit championship. Like the guy who had this is in fact next up. He's not just a mid-carder, he's the next one up. He put it on the stage that when you saw Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels going for it, you knew it was a prize worthy to behold. Not even an Ultimate Warrior could do that. Even an Ultimate Warrior walked in with the title in WrestleMania 6 versus Hogan and won it. Mr. Perfect is the one that made me believe in the Intercontinental title.
Wow. Yasmin, any final thoughts on Mr. Perfect?
I mean, like I was saying earlier, I feel like, his impact that he had on WWE, I feel like he should be higher than this. I mean, I feel like I could speak for a good amount of people. I mean, he was a legend. To me, I think so. So, and his, like we were talking about earlier, his run with the Intercontinental title, he made that, a big thing in WWE. I mean, I feel like he should be higher. I don't know.
He had a great wrestling style. He could go in the ring with anybody, and he made, and you know what I mean. He made everybody look good. His match with Bret Hart, oh my goodness, right? SummerSlam, that was one of the greatest SummerSlam matches ever. His match with Bret Hart, you know what I mean. Two guys who knew how to really sell, and knew how to dish, and knew how to tell a story with wrestling. Like he was that guy. He was that guy. He sorely missed. But he was one of the greats.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to keep this thing rolling. And the animal Batista at 36, of course, a two-time WWE champion, of course, the gold belt, as Gully calls it, and as well as a multi-time Royal Rumble winner, and of course, a tag team champion as well. Gully, or better yet, Yasmin, kick us off with the animal Batista before he was a movie star.
At what number now?
36.
Yeah. Go ahead, Yasmin. I'm gonna let you have it.
You know what? I don't think I like this ranking. You know what? I'm gonna let that comment slide. We're gonna let that one slide. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, I feel like Batista to me should be way higher. I mean, he was personally, I think he should be higher. I think that's what I think. I think he should be higher than that because his character and the way he was able to move in the ring and the way he just was in WWE to me, he should be way higher than that. What is he? 36?
36.
Yeah.
Can you guys believe
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Okay, D-Runk says Batista was one of them.
Think about that. We talked about factions and historical factions, and when you put some of the greatest ones in the history of that company, he's a member, and he went up. I mean, I'm in a Gully. How did he end up here?
Listen, Batista is one of the guys that I think had a great look, but he was more than just a great look. Like Brock Lesnar, he had a great look, but he was more than just a great look. I like he had an imposing figure, stature, and he moved that way in the ring. The big, however, is we talked about just previously. We talked about Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, Owen Hart, and who else did we just describe in the three? Mr. Perfect, Owen Hart.
Look at that. See?
He's a triple threat by the slide. Yeah, see. Who did we talk about? What three did we just? Oh, Rob Van Dam.
That's right.
Can I tell the story of WWE without mentioning Batista? That's a question. I cannot tell the story of WWE without mentioning Kurt Hennig. Without mentioning, I'm sorry, Mr. Perfect, as he's known in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell the story of WWE without Owen Hart. I could possibly tell the story of WWE without Rob Van Dam. I could possibly tell you the story of WWE with
well, wait a minute. No, you can't. Because of the role he played with ECW.
All right, I said the story of WWE.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Here we go. They're all under the umbrella now.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah. So I got to remember. I don't want to disrespect him because actually he's one of the guys who I would otherwise. I don't know that I could put. Well, I'll put it this way. I don't know that he's a greater superstar than Mr. Perfect or Owen Hart. I'm saying in this list, if I'm gonna slide all those guys up, I'm gonna slide Owen Hart and Mr. Perfect ahead of Batista. I might move them all up.
Dude,
I just can't see
Evolution.
where I'm breaking those guys.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that too. Evolution with Triple H and was it Randy Orton?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It sure was. Randy Orton. Come on.
So all right, yeah. Let's
you're talking about you're gonna skip Evolution?
No, listen, think of it this way. Ric Flair is what legitimized Evolution because he could pick a stable and he could pick a winner. Triple H made sure he positioned them as the guy who's a guy you can't overlook. Randy Orton, skill-wise, was a talent to behold. Was Batista memorable because of Evolution, or was he memorable separate from Evolution? Y'all pointed to Evolution.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, we're not talking about legacy with Randy Orton. You know what I mean? We're talking Evolution. And
he was a part of that stable, but why did they pick him?
Well, I think you just said it. You pointed out Ric Flair picks a winner. And if you're a part of that group, that says it all to me.
Oh, really? All right, then. Okay. Do you remember the original Four Horsemen?
Well, no,
the original Four Horsemen, right?
Not the other. Not you're talking from WCW.
Yeah. The NWA Four Horsemen. Matter of fact, before WCW, the NWA Four Horsemen went wrestling.
Well, hang on. I didn't read this from D. Wrong. Ooh. Okay, so Golly, what do you say about that?
Yeah.
He did. I understand that he did. But what I'm saying is that enough to make him a greater WWE superstar than Mr. Perfect, who legitimized the mid-card title? Does that make him a better wrestler a better superstar than Owen Hart, who made every gimmick given to him sell?
I don't believe I can't believe we're poo-pooing on this. Yes, will you
we're not poo-pooing on it. I'm just saying.
Will you please talk some sense into him?
No, because you didn't even answer my question. I gave you the reason why Owen Hart. I gave you the reason why Mr. Perfect is a greater superstar than Batista.
I'm going to be honest with you. I just remember Arn Anderson and Ric Flair.
Okay,
but that's because that could be my age. But
no, you good because that's the original, right? The original. It was. It was.
But Yasmin, please tell him why, because again, this is of your era, as you called it. Why he's bringing up the original Four Horsemen now from the 70s. I mean, come on.
Okay, so the points that he was making, I wouldn't. Now it got me thinking. Now I probably wouldn't put him above. I'm busy. I'm taking the wheel. I'm taking the wheel. So I probably wouldn't put him above Mr. Perfect or. Oh, okay. Well, hey, I'm not done. No, hang on.
Okay.
Hold on.
I know who your daddy is. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I forgot.
So I probably wouldn't put him above Mr. Perfect or Owen Hart. But at the same time, you have to remember, like we were talking about Absolution with Triple H and Randy Orton, even though he might not have been the most memorable in the group, he still was able to, like someone said, like he was still able to become a main stage person. And even not even just in Absolution, but also as
yes, I'm saying that. Go ahead, sip some more.
No way.
But even not even just in Absolution, but him as just a superstar on his own. I mean, I think he was able to make a mark on his own. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily. I'm saying a lot negative because I'm saying a lot negative. It sounds like a lot negative for Batista because I just think that Owen Hart and Mr. Perfect are two superstars that I think are ahead of him in terms of the pantheon of WWE superstars.
I get that.
I liked Batista. I did not like his Royal Rumble 2014 win. I did not like that at all. I think the company put him in a very bad position, and the fan base, the smart marks, rightfully and justifiably so, booed the hell out of him when he won the Royal Rumble.
But you know what? Hang on a second. Billy just praised Owen Hart for being a company guy, and now Batista being a company guy in 2014 and gets takes the backlash for it.
Yeah, because this is what I just said. When Owen Hart did everything WWE asked him, he legitimized it.
Hey,
I'm okay. I'm with her and D Runk as well. And
it don't make him a better WWE superstar. I'm not about to tell you that listen. Once we get to The Rock being top 5 or wherever he is, because I know he is, even though I ain't seen the top 5, I know he's going to be. I'm not going to bring up The Rock became a movie star. We're talking about that square circle.
Save that for John Cena. We're going to take a minute and a half time out here with Eddie G's cookies, and we'll come back.
I might just need to edit.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
All right, and we're back, and we're going to keep this thing rolling. Hang on, we got one more comment, it looks like. Again, a good point on the movie stars, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot more movie stars coming up in at 35, we move on to someone who legitimized something. And the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Speaking of Intercontinental Champions, obviously a Hall of Famer post-mortem. There's something to be said about that. Of course, a WWE champion as well. Who wants to handle the Ultimate Warrior?
Okay, so y'all Batista fans, right? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Tell me Ultimate Warrior better than Batista in the grand scheme of things. Go ahead, tell me.
Well, you know what? I actually want to look. You brought up the legitimacy of the Intercontinental belt and the amount of people that were going for it. There was no better time than Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. Again, we're not talking about going for the WWE Championship as it's known today. We're talking about legitimacy. When you have that caliber of superstar going after that belt and holding it as if he had just won the other, then to me, I think for all of those points you had made. Now, there was a ton of stuff that went on behind the scenes with him that unfortunately really kind of got in the way of, again, we're talking about things being cut short. Yeah. This is where I struggle with it because he moved the needle.
He did. And I can acknowledge that. Yes.
And of course, everyone had, again, when I think of those two, action figures that were a little bit, larger than your traditional, water bottle size, we'll call it. You had the smash ones, the soft ones that you could actually wrestle. I remember those. You had the Ultimate Warrior and you had Hulk Hogan. Yeah. That really speaks to what type of caliber this guy was. So, again, I'll turn it back over to you guys. I'm not necessarily going to say he was better than Batista, but you could make that case because he was certainly popular.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Yasmin. What you think?
So I do agree. He was very, very popular. I feel like for me, whenever I'm talking with my dad or my brothers about who's the greatest or who like some of the greatest in WWE just in general, I'm always one to mention the Ultimate Warrior because to me, I feel like, I mean, for anybody, he definitely was one of the most popular superstars. I mean, up there with, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, like anybody from that era, he was up there with them. And I feel like, I'm not going to say better than Batista, but I mean, just as popular. So.
Yeah.
Gully, go ahead and hate on it. Go ahead and move him to 58. Before we move on.
Here's what I'm saying. When I was a prisoner of the moment, the Ultimate Warrior was that guy. Like that.
Whoa, I can't believe it.
Yes. Oh, no. Listen, I tell you, me, my brother, rest his soul, and my cousin, we were able to convince my mother to order WrestleMania 6 at the Toronto Skydome, right?
Wow.
Me, my brother picked Ultimate Warrior to beat Hogan. Correctly, of course, because that's what happened. So I was a big fan of the Ultimate Warrior. Big fan of the Ultimate Warrior. And then...
So why are you making him out to be Doink the Clown?
No, because I'm not. Doink the Clown said, I tell you what, no, I'm not making him out to be Doink the Clown because I got to step back and not be a prisoner of the moment. When I'm outside of the moment, his run, okay, he did one thing. Where Hogan legitimized professional wrestling as a true entertainment form, Hogan had enough presence of mind to do for the Warrior what Andre the Giant did for him. And that was recognize that there's the torch that needs to be passed. Hogan was that gatekeeper. Hogan saw the potential in Warrior to make that happen, so he allowed it to be so. Because Hogan doesn't job for anybody, for just anybody, right?
That no truer words have been spoken yet.
Yeah, Hogan only jobbed to Ultimate Warrior. He jobbed by technicality to the Undertaker, and he jobbed to Yokozuna before he left for WCW.
Right.
To pick the Ultimate Warrior to do the job for, that's an amazing attribute for him. But when the Warrior had his time in the sun, what did his reign do? Did it move the needle? It didn't. He got to the top for himself, but what did he do for the legacy of wrestling? Who embodied or replicates the Warrior's mystique? The Warriors, or who does that? Nobody really does that. He was that does make him one of a kind. But if we saying, yo, the Warrior had a wave at a time, but then who continued in his path that we can still see today? I guarantee you, when we get to the top 5 or 6, those guys probably are modern guys that we can trace some of their aura, some of their essence back to guys that are further on the list. The Ultimate Warrior don't have a presence in the top 5. I guarantee you that. I bet you he don't.
Oh my goodness!
I bet you the Ultimate Warrior doesn't have a presence in the top 10.
Well, let's find out. We're going to move it right along to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at 34. Again, we are loving the Intercontinental titles. And naturally, he is a Hall of Famer as well. Are we happy with this? Is anyone happy?
At 34?
Gully, are you happy?
I don't know, because I don't know who else is on the list. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why this list is so large. You talk about 50 people. You're gonna forget who was before or after him by the time you get there.
Oh my gosh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The legend lives on with the NIT in Indiana State. It looks like they have. Was that the final? I'm
yeah,
not sure.
You said that was the final. That was the final.
Okay.
Not
so. Wow. Not all right. It's so. Yasmin, any thoughts on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat?
You know. Oh, y'all know what I'm about to say. Hang on. Y'all know what I'm about to say. Dad's era. Okay,
era. Yasmin, I'm gonna give you some help. Yasmin, when you get a chance, if you get a chance, you want to go to WrestleMania 3
in Detroit. Pontiac.
The Pontiac Silverdome. WrestleMania 3, the Intercontinental Championship title match. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage. Watch that match.
Okay.
Whenever you watch that match, you will see. Hopefully, even if that match translates well to how we watch wrestling in the modern era, or if you're able to at least watch it to try to gain an appreciation for how 80s professional wrestling was, that would tell you why they put Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah, but again, this is where I honestly have a problem with it, because not the greatness of that match, because again, talk about people that had a great match with the Macho Man. Didn't the Ultimate Warrior have one with him as well?
60-minute time limit draw. Yes, he did.
So again, he came back, I want to say in the mid 90s or early 90s with that felt like, a Starbucks coffee with all that ice in it. So, 2 sips.
I'm gonna tell you this. He had the prettiest arm drag takeover.
Correct. And but again,
right there alone, the prettiness of that move. You talk about Ken Griffey. There's Ken Griffey swing, and there's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's arm drag takeover. I ain't never seen the move so pretty in my life. I mean, listen, if I was a professional wrestler, if I wanted to train, I would want Bret Hart's move set, and I would want his arm drag takeover. I'm telling you that right.
I love it. Well, we'll keep it moving here for Mr. AARP. Oh, yes. At 33.
Right. King Booker. He made being touched a legitimate thing, boy. King Booker, man. I'm telling you, because that's how he played it, man. Tell me you did not just say that. Right. The spirit Ruby and all of it, man. He had the impossible job of holding a belt from an organization that WWE wanted to trash when he came over. He had the impossible task of proving to people that he, in fact, was pre-Rock, a version of The Rock. The bookend predates the Rock Bottom.
Man, the Harlem Heat, man.
Harlem Heat.
Come on.
Listen,
stop
you
it. Show some love. Show some respect.
He cut a promo on Hogan, and you forgot the infamous word that he dropped.
That's right.
Harlem Heat, man. Yeah. But we can't marry him.
Didn't Vince McMahon drop that too once on a promo?
That's yeah. He cut a pro. That's what I'm saying. Booker T. Come on, man. He was even G.I. Bro for a minute. That was WCW. When we talk about WWE, his WWE mark. What they got him ranked at?
33.
WCW champion. He had the big gold belt. He was
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I will not let the disrespect to Booker T occur on this program.
Nah, because come on, man. You know what I'm saying? He knew what situation he was in, and he carried it with class, with respect, and he earned the respect of people. He was put in an impossible position, and he made it possible.
See that? It's something, and I love it. It gets you talking. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna keep this thing moving. Whoa!
Wow.
Okay, look. To talk about old school action figures, I had Jake the Snake. I had Hogan. With doing this, one of these, wrap you up, and a bear hug you. I've watched his documentary. I'm really torn on this. I could have seen this as a 48 and would have probably not been mad at it.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, I resonate with you. I don't know if I fully agree. I resonate with you. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Look at the accomplishments, right? And that's the thing. He went the entire career without winning a title, and he's on this list.
Yeah.
Think about Yasmin, has there been anyone else that had 0 titles up to this point?
Up to this point, I don't know. I don't think so. Actually,
go ahead.
No. Actually, no, I don't know. Not any that I can think of.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Like not a single person.
So
I think superstar. So
look, I'm all about showing love and that. Yes, when you say to this day, Jake, anybody named Jake, either goes with State Farm or the Snake.
Yes, they do. Yep, and there's a reason for that, right?
And so again, impact is there, but is it really 32?
Is it really 32? Yeah, I just looked at who they had at 47. I'm sorry, I'm skimming the list, and I'm like, I cannot believe who was at 46. Listen, I cannot believe who they put at 46.
Look, I told you, if you would have been on time, you were in makeup still.
Listen. The belt needed its polish. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So again.
Yeah. No, because here's the thing, bro. How many people went to how many mothers had to take their kids to the hospital because they was at the playground and they got a DDT on some concrete? Okay.
Look at this. See my point? This is D-Rug just nailed it right there.
Yes. Take the slate. Yes. That name, he was that's what I'm saying. It was his mark on the business. I remember he did I remember, man, I was still living in Cleveland at the time. He had done an indie show and he was on this was during the age of Punk in WWE.
It's so 2013, 2012-ish.
Yeah, he talked about the fact that he says that I don't like his disrespect of Bret Hart. I'm not a big fan of that. But what he did say is, and it held true because of things that what D1 just mentioned. He says that, you know, in his opinion, they only put the belt on people who need the belt for it to work. You follow what I'm saying?
Ooh.
So he says guys that need the belt get the belt. Right? Now, I would say I disagree because I don't know that Hogan needed the belt. But Hogan, well, in fact, I think maybe he might be right about that. But for him, for his popularity to remain, it's very few guys that are really all-time greats. That really are names resonate and last forever that never had the title. Like, for example, that fact was probably shocking. He never even had a tag team title.
I'm just, again, the more that you kind of reiterate that, and I know he kind of went, you know, he said what he said, but there are not a lot of people in that company that really can stand on their own without any of those accolades.
Yeah.
And so I'm just,
the
more that really resonates as to why, you know, this placement actually makes sense, because who else, if you strip them of, you know, all the way down to just who they were and took all of the accolades away, would they have held up?
Some people don't even start their trajectory until they get a belt.
Like there's
Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, that was
it's true.
Hello, police, shots fired. You know,
yeah, right. But I mean, understand what it meant though. Understand now. Some people took some people. The play was designed for them, and they did well with it. But he's a guy like, listen, if the receiver need help, I'm gonna break free. You can hand the ball to me, and I'm gonna do it. That's what he said. Now, his personal demons are, I think, though, to be fair, his personal demons are the reason why they stayed away from maybe putting it on him. Because I think he should have gotten it. There was a rumor that he was supposed to have a program with Hogan that would have dealt with an exchange of the belt. I certainly see him as a guy who, if he'd have had the title, even for one run of 8 or 9 months battling with Hogan, that would have been epic all time. But without it, he's still a memorable figure. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And that's a very good point. I know, unfortunately, you know, the relationship he had, again, with some of the folks he's tried to make amends, you know, after, and he's still kind of, he's been very public about kind of his battles with substance abuse and that type of thing. So again, but this is about what he did in the ring. And of course, despite any of those things hurting him, again, there's a reason we haven't said Marty Jannetty on this list, right? You know, that's not always, despite some of those things, it doesn't always work out that way.
The barbershop with Marty Jannetty. That's all I remember. That's all I remember.
He hit you with the drop kick, Marty Jannetty.
He ain't never recovered from that heartbreak. He ain't never recovered from that sweet chin music, bro. His career was over from then. And it's a shame, too. Hey, I was going to mention something, too. You know, sidebar. There are a few people that can do a spot-on impression of Randy Macho Man Savage. I'm one of those people, and I say that self-proclaimed. It's very few self-proclamations I make. But if you ever
we got a lot of show left before we turn it over to the sideshow of.
But listen, all I'm gonna say is Jake the Snake was on Joe Rogan's show, and he talked about the whole the program that he ran where he and Savage had the rival, the program that they ran together. Where remember Damien bit Macho Man?
Yes.
You can hear Jake the Snake talk about it on Joe Rogan about how that went down and what convinced Macho Man to allow that to happen.
Another bit for those out there listening. Speaking of impressions, Hulk Hogan's Andre the Giant, and some of the stories that he shared. Please find them. They are worth it. And just be prepared to laugh. Please don't drink anything because it is likely to be projectiled against whatever surface is in front of you.
Wow.
So moving right along, we are going to end getting close to the end of the 30s here with Kane himself, who is supposedly rumored to be coming back.
Kane, you know his original name. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, that's Undertaker's name. Undertaker's original name was supposed to be Kane the Undertaker.
Well, if for those that remember, that was Undertaker's brother.
Yes.
That, of course, was badly damaged in a fire. And that's why he wore that mask, only to remove it later. And still, never mind.
Yeah, they totally abandoned his total moniker, and he still came to the ring in a suit, and he still was able to sell. Kane, his place on this list is rightfully so. They abandoned his gimmick mid-gimmick, and he still made it work.
Well, and here's the thing. Again, what you're seeing here is a tag team champion with X-Pac, of course, of D-Generation X. That was an incredible run. I saw them here at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. And again, what he was able to accomplish is why the as Gully pointed out, the regardless of gimmick, he was still able to perform. Yasmin, any thoughts on Kane? Were you scared of him?
Oh, absolutely. I was just about to say that. Kane, I don't have anything bad to say about him at all. You know, I wouldn't say to everybody, I wouldn't say like he was an absolute favorite, but I mean, he was still very popular. You know, he had popularity. He was able to captivate the crowd. No matter what the WWE threw at him, you know, he was able to work with it. But he did used to scare me though. So, you know, I was scared. That's all I'm gonna say.
he not scary no more. You ain't gonna have no more.
Well, no, that's what I was kind of driving at. That even with the mask off, he still is a little intimidating. Very nice guy, still works behind the scenes, of course. But again, the big red machine potentially we may see this weekend. So, Razor Ramon, amen.
I'm gonna tell you right now, his spot on the list. I don't care who else is 29 through 1. He definitely should be higher than 30.
I agree. I agree. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon.
Yes.
You know, again, one of the members of the NWO. His bits are still classics to this day. You know, the scenes of him in the restaurant.
Right.
If you remember that, or by the car, Chico. Yeah. You know, like he is legendary in every sense of the word. Yasmin, your thoughts on Razor Ramon or Scott Hall in the other company?
I personally think that he should be higher than. I think he should be higher than this. I think he was definitely popular, and you know, like we were talking about his time with NWO, he definitely made a mark in WWE, and I feel like others could say that as well. So I think he should be higher than this on the list.
Yeah,
I mean, listen to that moniker right there. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. I mean, that gives you kind of some chills here. Look, he was awesome. He was awesome. And again, it's unfortunate that he passed away. But again, Gully, you brought up Legacy, and you see guys like Damian Priest now that again that were influenced by Razor Ramon.
Sure, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall was a guy who he just got it. He understood professional wrestling. He understood the business that he was in. He understood how to make it work. He was wise beyond his years. I remember reflecting on something I seen in a podcast that Kevin Nash had done. Before the Kevin Nash current podcast. The current podcast that he does with the co-host, in several years prior to that host had his own show on internet-based show, and Kevin Nash was a guest. And he said,
you see that?
Yeah. Because I know. Yeah. Oh yeah. But be ready.
Hey, all
be
of us, bro. I have not seen the list.
Oh so no! Listen. I skimmed it, bro. I cannot believe who they put at number one, and it's gonna shock you why. I cannot believe who they put at number one, and I don't understand it for. I don't understand it for. I don't understand it. But anyway.
Oh no.
He says that what Kevin Nash said is that there was a match. He ended the match, and at the end of the match, Kevin Nash removed like one of his singlet straps to kind of like show his chest in the pose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says he was walking back to the locker room, and passively, just casually, Scott Hall goes, "Hey man, never make it about your body. Your body's the first thing that go." And they like the same age. If I'm not mistaken, I think Kevin Nash is a couple years older than Scott Hall.
But I think you're right.
Yep. But that wisdom and for him to just do it casually, it's just something that I just know. You know how to tie your shoe, but people might ask you how to solve a quadratic a polynomial, but you just know how to tie your shoe, so you just casually tie your shoe. That level of wisdom was just casual to him. That wasn't him breaking. You know what I'm saying? He was wise beyond his years, and he knew how to make things work, and he just did. It's a tragedy that he was not ever in a position that I think where he could have been like head talent, head writer. You know what I mean? Since we know so much about the business now, because that's a guy that I would love to have put behind the major story moments of a program of a wrestling promotion. He was that
great. Absolutely agreed. And oh my. Well,
that's what I'm talking about.
He may be number 29 here, but he was number one in a teenage Double J's heart. And maybe even
it's a family program, and we got a female. So you better keep that, okay? Keep that there. Leave it there. Stay there.
Yeah. So, nevertheless, again, champion, Hall of Famer, and again, hardcore champion as well. Again, what she did. You start distancing yourself from the I called it kind of the just eye candy or arm kind of a sidekick, if you will. She could wrestle, and I have no problem. I have a problem with it, but I don't. Should she be on the list? I say absolutely. Should it be 29? I don't know. I'll turn it over to you, Yasmin. You've seen some of the divas that we've had on this list.
Mm.
We had a recent feud, within the last year or so with Trish Stratus coming back, arguing essentially this point here that we're discussing.
So with Trish being at 29, I feel like, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like most people would have a problem with it. Definitely, like seeing this list, I feel like people will have a problem with that. I personally, I don't know about it, but
she's ranked higher than Batista. Remember y'all all the flack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's why I'm saying. That's why I think that most people have a problem with it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But okay, now Trish was one of my favorites. Will always say that. And like we were talking about with Lita earlier, I was saying that she made a mark on her own. She was able to do things in WWE that other women, weren't able to accomplish. And like her feuds that she had with Mickie James and Lita, no matter like what she had thrown at her, she was able to make it work. But 29 higher than Ultimate Warrior and Batista, I don't know.
Wait, hold on. And then I just heard what you just said, Yasmin. Where is Lita on this list?
Oh,
she's like
Lord.
46.
Oh no! Oh.
Wait, no. I think wasn't she 49?
Oh no!
I think you're right. I think
she was. I think she was 49.
No. Hold on. What's the other one? What's the other one? Ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Lita 49 and Trish is 26. I will say to her credit, I was not a big fan of the Divas era.
I wasn't either.
However, I will say this though, Trish Stratus, not as much as Lita. Trish Stratus making the sell as one of the divas who was there for her looks, but could actually legitimize what she did in the ring. I do have a great respect for that. And I think she's a foundational piece in the evolution of women in WWE, not so much women in professional wrestling, but women in WWE. I don't know if that's 29, or I don't know how she's worlds away from Lita.
Well, again, they're giving her credit for transforming. Again, there's no without her. They're giving her kind of that pioneer status, but I agree with you guys that I don't believe that that's at 29. I'll just leave it at that. It is what it is for me. I'm a little perplexed on this one.
I know I'm perplexed. I'm perplexed like a Rubik's cube. Never mind. I'm gonna just leave it alone.
All right, we'll keep it moving then. 28. It's D-Runk hit it right on the head. He thought she was going to be 10, but she was 28. China of legendary D-Generation X, of course, from the Intercontinental Champion, and of course the Women's Champion, and of course a Hall of Famer, but as a part of D-Generation X. Who wants to take this?
I mean,
go ahead, Yasmin.
China, is she ranked 28?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about 28. I mean, Miss China, aka the ninth wonder of the world. I mean, she was so dominant. I mean, if you go back and watch any match that you would pick from China, if you watch any of her matches, you would see the dominance that she had over any opponent or whatnot, and just her as a character, her promos, and even her time with Eddie Guerrero. I mean, she was able to show her dominance whilst being with him at the same time. I mean, I think China should be way higher. I think so. What do you guys think?
She should be higher. I
think China should be higher. Yes, I do. I sure do, and I'm standing on that.
Oh, so you said okay?
That's a great point about for me, it was always the run with DX, but when she actually wrestled, she was dominant, as Yasmin pointed out.
She could take bumps, and she had a figure. she had a presence that made her capable and make it sellable that she could compete with the male superstars.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
She wasn't weak at it, and she wasn't particularly weak in any aspect. You know what I'm saying? From a women's professional wrestler. I think there are 27. I think there are more than 28 stars ahead of her, but I don't really have a significant, compelling argument against her in this position. I think she does deserve significant acknowledgement for what she did for women's professional wrestling.
Valid. All right. Oh, now. Oh, okay.
Okay.
And here we go. 27 is Charlotte Flair.
It's
obviously far more decorated than some of the others that we just listed. But is that the why to this?
There's a reason why they gave her all of those accomplishments.
So Jake the Snake's comment now actually is accurate to you?
I say it resonates for a great deal of superstars. First of all, well, here's the thing. When it comes to women in the sport, who are we talking about that wasn't the champion? You follow what I'm saying? Like, they only really get their legitimacy when they win the title. When you talk about the women's sport, women's professional wrestling, the women's title, how do we come to respect? Like Becky Lynch without a title, do she really have a persona that Becky Lynch would get without a title? Whose persona does not can survive without being the women's champion, the women's tag team champion, the women's. Yeah.
See, and that's actually, I think, to answer that question, it would have been China because of that fact that she was going against the guys.
Name a single other. A single other.
But does that make her better, though?
Well, what I'm saying is, does that make her better? What off the pedestal that China, I think China has the pedestal by which the others that came after her stand on to be better. You follow what I'm saying? Like if you steps, a step is here for the purpose of you going higher than it, right? So where China was in the time and the era, Charlotte Flair, I believe, stepped on that in order to move it higher. So it exists. So I think that's where I understand Charlotte Flair being ranked higher than her. I think that Charlotte Flair, excuse me, she's a great storyteller. She has a moveset. She has a presence that is more than just, I'm Ric Flair's daughter. And I think that's the key. How much is she doing? What has she done without the title? Like if she went by Charlotte Ribka, could you believe it? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't have an indication that she got this because she's Ric Flair's daughter.
Well, I do. I do. I disagree. I think the fact that she was this decorated had a lot to do with that part of it. And I would have, if we were to reorder this, I think she belongs behind Trish Stratus, the pioneer, and behind China, who was wrestling against the guys, as D-Runk, pointed out. See that? I told you. Look at hey, D-Runk, you're not. No. See, I told you. I'm on the same page with you.
Listen. So, all right. What do you make of Charlotte Flair main eventing a pay-per-view?
I think that's great, but would that happen? Would that happen without the others?
Name a main event.
We just had this discussion, I feel like yesterday.
No, name a main event match that China could sell. You could put China in the main event of a program.
You could have put her in a fatal four-way, a triple threat. Some of the guys. Come on now.
You said a triple threat or a fatal four. That means she would need help.
No, I don't think that's the case. I mean, in a triple threat or a fatal four-way, I don't think she would necessarily need help. I feel like she would, and if anything, I feel like she would stand out more. I think so. I feel like she would stand out more and like overpower those other opponents. That's just what I think.
You think that China could main event a pay-per-view?
Why wouldn't she be able to?
I'm saying to you, did you not? All right. So my challenge for you is, when Charlotte Flair main evented, did she main event WrestleMania? Was it with
Asuka, I believe. Yeah, I think that was main event.
Who was like 45 or something on this list.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that main event that Charlotte Flair had with Asuka, I think it was Asuka. Was that? Did they sell that for you? Get what I'm saying? Was it like, okay, I get this? Did you, like, after you watch that match, you say, yes, this is main event worthy, even if it ain't the best main event? Could you make that sell with Charlotte Flair? Because for me, I tell you, I personally think Bull Nakano is my favorite female wrestler. Okay, that's my Bull Nakano.
That's fair.
From the 90s, right? But Charlotte Flair main eventing a pay-per-view, let alone on WrestleMania, I get that. I don't think that China could do that.
Very good point.
That's fair. That's fair.
See, Gully, I think you're on the losing end of this. I really say if there's no China, there's no Charlotte Flair getting a main event.
But all right, I'll tell you what. I think because of Charlotte Flair, I think that in this era, Charlotte Flair versus China in the main event would be stellar. That would sell.
Wow.
That would be
I would watch
main event.
2K24 of that.
Bro, somebody need to do it. Somebody need to listen.
Yeah, or if someone throw in the comments if that's already been done out there, go ahead and throw that YouTube link in there.
I will put a card, yeah. But that being said, what Charlotte Flair has done for the women's division, recognizing what professional wrestling is, I get her place ahead of China. China was groundbreaking. However, but what I'm saying is, what they put in, what Charlotte Flair was given, and how she made it work.
See, and that's again, the disrespect is coming from what she.
Hey, bro, I ain't none of that up. And you know what? This is a family show, but I'm gonna tell you what, she didn't lose no points with me. All right, so D-Rock, I ain't the one.
We're moving on to the next one.
Yo, I'm not bringing that
freaking Rollins at 26.
Wow, Seth Rollins.
All right, Yasmin, this is your era. This is
my era.
Yeah,
this is my era. So 26. I don't think it's the best for Seth Rollins, but you know what? I think it's fair, because Seth Rollins, like we were talking about earlier, from his time with the Shield,
yes.
Many of his feuds that he had, from him winning the title or cashing in his Money in the Bank on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. We could talk about any type of moment any type of big moment that he's had. I feel like you could definitely say Seth Rollins is very popular. He has a lot of popularity. He's good in the ring. He does great promos. I think that no matter like what gimmick he has, or like if he's a heel or a face, it doesn't matter. He could do anything that the WWE throws at him. That's why I think this ranking is fair.
Here comes the hate.
Nah, you remember, he's injured a couple of people. You know what I mean?
He's a Punk fan. That's what it is. Gully loves CM Punk. That's gotta be it.
If I'm not mistaken, but he didn't injure CM Punk, did he?
No, they just naturally are bitter rivals.
He injured what's my man's name?
From the Judgment Day.
Yeah. In the Universal Championship match.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, though, even throughout he is a guy that he has what they call it, the Riz. He's got it. You know what I'm saying? And he's a great worker. And he's great on the mic. And he's been able to really prove that he's able to carry the business and carry the company with a title around him or with a program. Like, he's able to do that. Like, I think him being 26, I think that's fair. And again, that's not knowing all the list of where he has, but if you're telling me somewhere in the top 30 superstars in WWE history, while we're talking about a 70-year-old organization, right? Him being 26 makes some sense, because we do have to look at what he was. Yes, that right. Yeah, him injuring Sting and him injuring, oh my gosh, what's my guy's name? The Demon. Boy, what's my guy's name?
Finn Balor?
Yes, thank you very much.
There it is, Finn. Thank you.
Yeah. See, to me, that I have to keep that in mind, because that does affect the business. Here's why. Because that takes away opportunities really for Seth Rollins to have great programs.
Oh, this guy, whoa.
He got all the history. Oh, hey, Mesa, yes, Mr. Mesa, you got all the history. Right. That's what I'm saying. But those injuries are significant, because what they do, they shorten programs that could otherwise help enhance his legacy.
Right.
He doesn't injure Finn Balor in that Universal Championship match. Right? The battle that they can have with Finn Balor's talent and Seth Rollins' talent. Right? What if he doesn't injure Sting? The battles that, because we all know.
Is he going to injure? Should Drew McIntyre be fearing for his life tomorrow? Or
well, you know, Seth Rollins ain't a small guy. He's smaller than Drew McIntyre. But I don't know. I think Drew McIntyre hey, listen, that Claymore
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, it's the reason why he called it that. But Seth Rollins at 26, considering all of that, he has a great body of work, and he never really disappoints on the main event stage, even in a loss. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and again, remember we talked about the Shield a little earlier with Dean Ambrose being mentioned in the top 40. And of course, now he being the second member of that group to be enshrined in the top 50. And so moving right along, the rated R superstar.
On this day. Yeah. This is a guy who's a pleasant surprise for me. I was surprised that it worked for him because I never saw it coming.
What do you mean? Are you kidding me? The Brood?
No,
with Gangrel and
I'm talking about him as
one of the best intros.
His mic work, his mic skills. Tell me, when he was with the Brood and you never saw that coming. Did you really
saw glimpses of that? That was so short-lived, it broke my heart to this day because they, of course, went on. Him and Christian went on to be tag team champions. But you knew the formula was there.
I hated the Brood.
I can't believe this.
I thought it was boring. I thought it was uneventful. I hated them. I absolutely hated the Brood. I did not like Edge and Christian because of the Brood. I did not like that fad. I did not like all that organization. Listen, Sam I do not like green eggs and ham. No, I did not like the Brood. That's why I said it was such a surprise. When he got out of that, I was so thankful because I did not know that he was capable of this. I really didn't. The Brood the Brood did not help him at all.
Again, the Hardy Boys, the Dudleys, Yasmin, and any thoughts here? Again, I think very deserving of it, regardless of Gully's stance on.
I just said the Brood. I didn't say him.
Oh my!
The Brood. I did not like him in the Brood.
Ooh, okay, very good point.
No, he didn't. Jeff Hardy.
Who was in the mid-40s of this list?
Yeah, he was 44, I think. Yeah.
Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. I thought Jeff Hardy took more of the risks, but Hardy.
Matt has not been listed up to this point, so we're going to keep that in mind.
He has not been listed.
What?
Oh no! So here we go.
Woo! How? Hey, it's been fun, y'all, but we got to run. Check us out on Spreaker and what? How? 24. 24. There are 23 other superstars greater than Ric Flair in WWE.
I'm having a hard time holding these skaters down. I just can't believe
24, bro.
I mean, we talked about it. We mentioned the Four Horsemen, Evolution. I mean, some of the greatest factions of all time are on here. And then, of course, what he did independently. We even suggested his daughter's legacy was because it was influenced in her placement because of him. This is a sham.
I remember. I gotta say it because there's the thing. I've already recognized. I'm looking at this thing. I'm looking at this thing from a interesting lens. Okay, the WWE owns the history of WCW and ECW. Okay,
so they're punishing him in only a manner in which you've done on this.
No. You know what? Actually, you're fair because here's what I'm saying. They own the history of the ECW and WCW, but the history that they owned, that they bought, they did not make. Understand what I'm saying? They didn't make the WC. The reason why he is shocking on that list, and the reason why I had to step back and I was shocked is because I remember the promos that he cut that everybody remember came from TBS. They did not come from when it was on USA Network. Name a promo that he cut, except for the one with Jay Lethal in TNA, by the way. that you remember from WWE. So for all of his accomplishments, if we're talking about the top 50 WWE superstars, I don't know that he's 24. I think he still should be higher, but sobering up a bit, his WWE legacy may put him there.
I'm at a loss.
Think about it. All right, tell me this. Tell me this. Remember the Gator shoes promo, the limo promo that came from not WWE.
But it's under the same umbrella here.
It got bought. They did not. The WWE did not make that legacy that precedes Ric Flair. Ric Flair made that in WCW before WWE acquired it. So what did he do in WWE? Now, one thing he did do, he had the guts enough to wear that title when he came in and showed up in WWF television the first time. Remember, they had to blur it out because he walked to New York carrying the belt from Georgia. I will tell you that should probably put him higher than 24. But what did he do in WWE more significant than some of the superstars that are probably ahead of him in WWE?
Yasmin, do you have any kind of rationale on can you make any sense of this with what Gully's even pointing out?
I mean, 24 to me, absurd. I mean, it's Ric Flair we talking about. Like, come on. If we're talking about top 50, I think he should be higher than 24. I mean, to be honest, like, it doesn't, to me, I won't say it doesn't matter what he did in WWE, but I mean, still, like, his time that he had in WWE, or like even the matches he put on, I think that he should be, I feel like he made a mark enough to be put higher than 24.
He had a great match with Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania, for sure.
And the Macho Man once upon a time.
Yeah, for sure. He did. What else was Yeah, go ahead.
Well, now look, this is just insulting.
23, Becky Lynch, seriously.
How is Becky Lynch ahead of Charlotte?
Or Rick?
What do you mean how is Becky above
we could just
Charlotte?
Forget Charlotte. We could just say Rick.
You know what?
I nearly almost knocked my drink over.
I'm gonna say this one thing about Charlotte.
Wait, why you fixing your hair like you about ready to?
No. I'm gonna just say this. No.
Hold on. Wait.
Okay. Hang on.
They jump through there and attack me. We about to see what's going on. Talk about moving first. My bad.
Okay, I'm gonna say this one thing about Charlotte.
Okay.
Charlotte is very athletic, very decorated in the ring. I did enjoy her for many years.
Yes.
However, I feel as if whenever she takes time off of WWE and she's out for a couple months or maybe a year or so,
yeah.
And whenever she comes back, it's always, I deserve a title opportunity. I deserve this, or I want that. Well, I understand that because Charlotte has done a lot in the WWE. You know, she's done a lot of things, but at the same time, I feel as if there are more women who are, I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, great athlete, but there are more women on the roster who deserve a title opportunity. And I feel like it's not fair for her to just come back after being out for so long and just for her to say, well, I want a title match, and she gets it all the time. I mean, I don't agree with that at all. So that I think Becky Lynch being higher than her, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Got you. Okay.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to leave that one alone. This is, oh my gosh, what? Daniel Bryan.
Yes. Daniel Bryan is a hero for everybody 5'8" or smaller. Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. Yes.
So yeah, world title wins. Yep.
Daniel Bryan made you get behind him, and Daniel Bryan had enough. He had enough charisma to actually sell you on a heel turn, and then win you back. Daniel Bryan had the eco-friendly hemp belt that I still want to purchase. That is the best looking version of this title I've ever seen.
This one I'm actually okay with. I mean, he really he fought his way. Like, it almost felt like they were trying not to give him the push, in that this is one of those rare circumstances that the way that, again, as it even mentions in here, that we want Brian, that they were forced into letting him get his credit.
Yep. I mean, to be able to do what he did with the tag team with Hell Yes, with Kane.
Yep.
To be able to make that, to get that over, like, you got to think about it, right? When we talk about step behind the scenes, what did these guys get over? He was able to get that over. I mean, Kane helped, certainly, you know what I'm saying? But let's say the two of them were able to get that over. An unlikely, seemingly polar opposite persona. It was like two different versions of professional wrestling that they wanted to sell, two different brands. They made that work, in part because of him. His heel turn. Then remember, he was part of the Wyatt family. His breaking away from the Wyatt.
Right.
That episode of Raw where he broke away from the Wyatt family, bro. I think the Vizio TV I had, the speakers blew because of the fans when I saw that live. The pop that they gave when he broke away from them. That means, people so rooted for this guy because, yes, he was a small guy, but he played big in big moments. Thank you, Mason. Yes, Orlando, it erupted. The camera was legit shaking because of the vibrations. Like, he was able to make the big moments bigger. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he definitely was that guy.
Love it. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Let the controversy begin is right. I thought for sure this list would have him at 10. He's very decorated, of course. Again, D-Generation X in the Attitude Era. Despite kind of being somewhat of an outlier, what he did as a tag team with Shawn Michaels, I'm kind of at a loss here. I think. How do you had, as you've mentioned many times, you had Stone Cold, you had The Rock, and you had Triple H. How does someone of that caliber end up as a mid-20s superstar?
Because he forced himself into that situation, but every time he forced himself into that situation, he did bring the goods. He is unlike Ohio State competing in the college football playoff. He's more like Alabama. They may whine and complain and get their way in, but they play big in big moments. I am not the biggest fan overall of him.
I know that.
but I have the utmost respect because here's what I say. Controversial opinion loading.
Uh-oh.
That curtain call, and I said this before. I think I said this before publicly. The curtain call was the last moment that I believe Triple H or Paul Levesque or Hunter Hearst Helmsley, whatever you want to call it, the game, put himself in a position where he let the actions of others dictate what happened to him. Because when that curtain call happened, of the four of them, one was the next big thing, and they knew they could sell. They knew they could make money, and they had to make money with him. That was Shawn Michaels. The two other guys were leaving, so there was nothing to punish them for. Hunter was the only one in the position where he had everything that he wanted to get. He still had not yet accomplished. It was not known if they could make money with Hunter. It was not known whether they would lose money with Hunter. He was a talent that they could otherwise dismiss. And when he put himself in that position with that curtain call, he put that at risk. He made sure that never happened to him again. And when he made sure that it never happened to him again, he also did one thing that he really didn't have to do. He made sure he delivered on every single moment. And like it or not, he delivered on every single moment. He might have forced himself into a main event, but he had a great main event match.
Well, and again, look, they're publicly acknowledging that they, first of all, that curtain call, as you mentioned, they're mentioning his marriage into the McMahon family.
Yep.
They're tarnishing his. They're just, I mean,
throwing
his legacy into the fire, and you seem to again highlighted all of those same points. So it sounds like you're okay with him being here in that at this kind of junction,
because I have a great deal of respect for him, partly because I don't necessarily like him all the way at being there. I just feel like he did, like I said, he put himself in that position, he forced himself in, shoehorned himself in that position, but he didn't do it and then under-deliver. He delivered, right? And listen, here's the thing about his marriage to Linda McMahon, okay?
Stephanie.
Well,
for his sake.
Here's the thing. All right. And I'm going to be, you know what I'm saying? Listen. Everybody, it's somebody that you know that once upon a time had a rendezvous.
Ooh.
And 2 years later, that person is now the wife. So the opportunity that was
happening right now.
Right, the opportunity that was one thing became became something significantly greater, right? So why are we all of a sudden shading Hunter Hearst Helmsley for doing the thing that the dude that worked in the shoe department did, or the guy that worked on a forklift did, or the guy that worked at Home Depot? No, it's the same game. He just did it at a grand level, and guess what? He delivered. Think about it like this. Let's really think about it. As a superstar, he learned, he has that insight what it's like to be a superstar. And then coming corporate, taking his singlet and his tights off and putting his suit on, he knows what makes these guys tick. And some of the decisions that Vince McMahon has made with the legacy mindset, he's overturned with the progressive mindset, and it's made a better product.
And they're punishing him for being like they labeled him a politician. But again, where is the company without Triple H? And for that reason alone, you have to move him up, love him or hate him. And so now,
Philip Jack Brooks.
What?
Philip Jack Brooks. Wow. See him?
Chicago's very own.
Chicago's finest. To put him ahead of Triple H. All that I said. Yeah. He delivered it. He was the one guy before Brock Lesnar that I really thought could beat Undertaker. And I was surprised that he actually didn't beat the streak.
Well, now look what's occurred. And again, with him coming back and just the way that all the fallout, I was at his last show in Rosemont, Illinois, when when he was gone, and that was it for, he showed up to a house show over that weekend in Hammond, Indiana. And then of course that show in Chicago, the very next, that following Monday, he had the world was his oyster, but to put him ahead of Triple H and Ric Flair is who wrote this. I'm sorry. This is where I get it. I was there. I lived it. Yasmin, where do you stand on this? Because
he's
you have a recency bias.
Right. He's in the top 20, Yasmin. He is in the top 20, right?
You know what? I think he is in the top 20, but to put him over Triple H and Ric Flair, I don't know if I agree with that one. I don't know.
How did these people make?
Read the last line of that statement. Read the last paragraph of their summation of his importance in WWE.
That's BS. That's BS. No way. No freaking way.
How not?
Because they were already there.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were, dude.
No, they wasn't.
The Shield
Bryan
or
Danielson. No.
Daniel Bryan got a lot of love for being on Total Divas.
Total Divas was 4 years after the. What are you talking about?
What?
CM Punk was there in 2007, bro. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about when he was actually really relevant. When he made a run. Daniel Bryan was just as active. To suggest that was made possible by insert sponsor here.
Bro, do you just no
way. What Punk did with he had AJ.
Do you have a hyperbaric time chamber? Do you have the Tesseract that they was looking for in Avengers movie? This is crazy. With a flux capacitor. Did you and Biff Tannen have drinks in 1955 that you changed the timeline? Did you? Just let me know.
There's no way.
Bro, do you remember when CM Punk came into WWE?
Yes. And
how do you that it was before Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins? The point I'm making. Seth Rollins got repackaged into the Shield before he launched. CM Punk was already in singles.
See? Look, I'm not alone here.
You should be.
The Viper?
Oh, wow. The Viper, the legend killer himself.
This is valid, yes.
But not top 10?
I was going to say not top 10.
I can't say. I'll put it like this.
Golly, who is your number? I almost want to ask who is your number one?
My number one is not my favorite wrestler.
Who's your number one? I want to know now.
The Rock.
No, we gotta let people. We gotta let it simmer.
I can't let it simmer now.
I can't believe this right now.
If I say it now, they're gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? Wow, Randy Orton. Yeah, because you know what? Here's the thing. When they brought up the big four that came up with him, of the big four, it was Batista, Cena, Lesnar, and Orton. Batista, Cena, and Lesnar all had the body, they had the presence, they had the physique. He had, seemingly at first, he had his legacy. And
look at this. Look, the people are speaking, and they are all saying, that look, the legend killer. I mean, come on.
Yes, like I know. What I'm saying is, I put it the way I'm starting to look at this, because there's so many. I'm looking at where you have him at 19. I'm looking at the rank he is, and should they be lower than that? And I'm telling you right now, he should not be lower than 19. Because I don't know who's ahead of him. He shouldn't be lower than 19. So
we're gonna move right on, and we're gonna find out.
Yeah, because
I want to know now why the disrespect.
No.
Ooh,
I don't think
okay.
You understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, because there's so many people on this list and so many names, they fit him in at 19. If nothing else, should he be lower than 19? Absolutely not. So I agree with the list from the perspective of, you bet not have he should not have shown up before now. Even if he should show up later. You follow what I'm saying? Like I only partly agree with where they put him. Like this is the floor for him. I think his ceiling is higher, but I certainly don't think his floor is lower. Does that make sense?
Yes, but you brought up earlier that Ric Flair was punished for what he did outside of WWE, despite it being under the umbrella. Couldn't the same case be made for Eddie Guerrero?
Oh, certainly it is. It was. But here's what I'm telling you. Eddie Guerrero's WWE run was much more significant to the story of WWE than Ric Flair's. Like I told you, the promos that we remember Ric Flair for were cut with WCW in the background, not the WWE. But you know what I'm saying? Eddie Guerrero's Viva La Raza, winning the WWE title, him in China, Latino Heat, cheat to win, beating
Lesnar.
Those things, a small guy playing big in big moments. Eddie Guerrero.
And he lost the JBL.
Come on, man. That was the politics.
So are we going to put JBL on this list lower?
Hey, everybody gets an upset. Did JBL even show up yet?
No.
No, he did not.
All right, that's probably for good reason.
Great. We're gonna have the acolytes coming up.
But I'm
seriously, we're gonna have Farouk and Bradshaw. That's what's going on now.
I'm telling you, listen.
He's trying to scroll. No cheating. All right, we're just gonna keep.
I'm not. No. Seriously, I'm looking at Eddie Guerrero. I'm looking at.
Oh, now he's 17.
Brock Lesnar.
Nah, see, this is where this is. All right, so let me capture my problem here. This is what I'm saying. Brock Lesnar, they're saying 17. They're saying there are 16 other superstars greater to WWE's legacy than Brock Lesnar. That is absolutely unequivocally false. His floor is the floor that you need to let Brock Lesnar off on. If we're talking about elevators to the top, Brock Lesnar needs to be closer to the penthouse than he needs to be the basement. Brock Lesnar, I can't name 16 more superstars better than him. I guarantee you I'm going to have a problem with some of those guys that are 16 through 1 ahead of Brock Lesnar.
Well, you know what? He probably F5 all 16. So, Jasmine, what do you say?
I feel like, you know what? I don't know if I can name anybody, but I feel like there could be superstars higher than him. And I feel like that might be a little controversial, but I feel like.
Do you think there are 16 others?
I love it. I love that she said that. That's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
In your head, Yasmin, you ain't got to tell me. Can you name them right now?
Not all 16, absolutely not. But I mean, but I do.
Don't do to her. You're setting her up. You know that.
No, listen to what they said. Okay, listen to what they wrote. Brock Lesnar as number 17. This is they list the accomplishments, and they listed the very first sentence they begin with is what? Brock Lesnar has never not been a main event attraction in WWE. Tell me then, I guarantee you there are going to be, within 16 to 1, there are going to be guys that had to develop into that role. A guy for 20 years that's been worthy of having a main event match is somehow 16 places lower than guys that I guarantee you had to develop before we got it. John Cena is one of them. How is he not greater than John Cena?
Okay, well,
exactly.
okay. Well, no.
Here we go.
Because I was about to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say John Cena could be considered better than Brock Lesnar because I feel like he was more enjoyable. I feel like he was more enjoyable than Brock. I mean, like, I feel like I could compare. I don't know. Okay, not compare, but I feel like I could put Brock Lesnar and Charlotte basically like head to head. Like, I mean, I feel like the stuff that Brock Lesnar, I'm not going to sit here and lie. He's a great athlete. Absolutely. But the stuff that he's done in WWE, I feel like at one point it just got repetitive. So I feel like John Cena was more enjoyable to me.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, let's find out. Y2J.
Y2J.
Ahead of Brock Lesnar?
Ahead of Triple H.
Yeah, man, listen.
Woo. If you wanted to bump him one spot ahead, sure. He was a superstar on his own. Again, there's a reason we're saying Y2J. That was the thing. People were literally terrified. He had the staying power. I guess, I mean, again, the accolades are all there.
Mm-hmm. The undisputed champion in WWE.
Ahead of Eddie Guerrero, though?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he deserved it. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, because
I am kind of torn on this. I get it, I think. But go ahead, Gully.
Nah. When he arrived in WWF, or WWE, if you didn't think that WCW was in trouble, you knew it for sure. Right. That promo been teased for months. I didn't know who they was talking about. When he showed up, and proceeded to deliver in the way he delivered in the big moments. He was completely, listen, you didn't know that he had mic skills in the way he did until he got to WWE, because they really didn't show up in WCW. He was a young guy that played big in big moments, and on the main event stage, he never failed to deliver. Exactly, Orlando. Exactly. Every iteration from him. Y2J
Valid.
to the court to, hey, you just made the list, right? Everything he did, he got over everything. Just like Brock Lesnar has never not been in the main event. Just like I said, Owen Hart sold everything he was put into. Y2J made everything he put in. Yes. Him being ahead of Brock Lesnar, I kind of get it.
Yeah, I mean, the more, again, like I said, I was torn on it, but I can't deny what he did. It was, and again, they brought up again Shawn Michaels with him, and it just, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Name a more pivotal figure to proving the reality of how brutal the sport of wrestling is than Mick Foley. Because those tacks, not only that, he had 3 personas. You had Dude Love, you had, of course, Mankind, and Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack, yep.
Yep.
Absolutely one of the greatest entertainers there ever has been. And Mr. Sacco, him, needs to get some credit here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he made everything work. He was funny. He had that charisma, and you never knew. I mean, dude, think of it this way. When he beat The Undertaker at SummerSlam 97 in Gund Arena, Cleveland, Ohio, Boiler Room Brawl, nobody saw that coming. That was shocking. Incredible. That was shocking. The guy that made you believe that the mistake. Look, not even Yokozuna's victory over The Undertaker made you believe that The Undertaker. Right. When Mankind did that dark persona, just simply having on a mask, when he did that, like, that was shocking. Okay.
He wrestled more than once on a Raw, and I remember it to this day because I don't know if it was a Royal Rumble that he came back more than once, but I just remember seeing him and saying to myself, this guy's got to be like feeling it. I thought there was like a visible limp. Wait a minute. Didn't he have an additional character that he?
Well, no. Mick Foley, it was always Mankind was first.
Mm-hmm.
Then Dude Love was a heel at first, but he got over with the ladies. And then it was, I think it was Mankind, Cactus Jack, then Dude Love. Cactus Jack was the persona that he had in WWE, but that's what he was known as before he left WCW. I remember him as Cactus Jack. He used to jump to the outside above, behind the steel, behind the security rail. The Hell in a Cell match. Where he was thrown onto the table. Mm-hmm. That was the planned spot. When he got
this too low then? Like, or is this? Should he be in the top 10?
WWE superstars. Like I said, I'm gonna halfway agree with this list. I'm saying, is his floor lower than 15? It absolutely is not lower than 15. I don't know if he should be higher, but he should not be lower than 15. That's what I was getting at when I looked at that's when I looked at Brock Lesnar. I don't think his floor should be lower than 17, and that's about the most agreement you'll get out of me.
They should bring the hardcore champion back.
Yeah. All right, let's go to 14.
All right.
And here's the problem.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me?
Whoa.
You mean to tell me that there are 13? You know what? Here's the thing. I don't know who the 13 are.
The slam heard around the world. I mean, even being on the receiving end, Like that took the company to a completely different. It sent them into the stratosphere.
He was a guy that allowed everything. No, it's two people. He and his opponent were the only two wrestlers that I believe, only two personas that really always had creative control. Anything he wanted to, anything that happened to him in his career and his character is what he allowed. Period. If he wanted to play ball, he did it on his own terms. That to me speaks volumes to how great of a superstar he is. Because if you talk about that match, Hogan didn't even know if he was going to do it.
Right.
Into that match, Hogan, as big as a character as he was, he didn't know if Andre was going to play ball.
Wow. I mean, and they have an award named after him, of course, currently. I just, whoa. Yasmin, any thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I feel like, I don't even know. Yeah, I feel like 14. Is this 14?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like, I think it's fair. I don't know. I think it's fair. I don't have anything bad to say. So,
well, let's find it.
Okay, y'all playing. All right, y'all playing. Whoever makes this plan.
Go on.
Y'all
Let's
playing.
get you right in the middle.
Okay, y'all are seriously playing because I was zoning out for a second, but I'm back in the game now because y'all got to be playing. Like 13.
Where should he be? Where should he be in your opinion?
Top 5.
Whew.
In this, I'm talking about. I don't know about all time, but in this generation, top 5. Because he's at where he's at right now and how where he's headed.
She's got a point.
He should be top 5. I mean, even though me and other people included, I feel like even though his title reign could be repetitive to people, I mean, it was repetitive to me. I mean, but I mean, you cannot deny his work ethic and you cannot deny his character and just him in WWE and even him with the Usos and him with the Rock or whatever.
The Shield. I'm going to reiterate the Shield again.
You can't deny Roman Reigns. Like 13 is way too low.
Well, Gully, you don't seem to agree. When we had a discussion.
I don't know. Like I said, because of this list of so many names, I agree that his floor should not be lower than 13. I don't know that it should be. I don't know if it should be higher because I don't know who they are. But I'm saying if you're dropping them off at the 13th floor, all right, he shouldn't be lower than that. He should not be lower than that. He is a guy who was force-fed upon the fans, and they vehemently hated. And then somehow, probably through the genius of Paul Heyman, he was able to rewrite history in the way that only his cousin was able to do before, and get people on his side. He has a story of having that title for so long that it should otherwise be boring and exhausting.
But what we talked about before, it was he should have never lost it to begin with because they're trying to create almost these micro Bruno Sammartino runs with him. And in order to legitimize him for sure and cement him in history and potentially even cement him lower on this list is to surpass Bruno Sammartino's length duration that he held the title. At least that one of the two.
I don't think that wrestling can do that. Appreciate it. I don't think that wrestling can afford. I don't think that WWE can afford to have a 7-year champion, to have a Bruno Sammartino / Hulk Hogan run. WWE professional wrestling doesn't need a decade-long run.
Hang on. But here's the thing. Look how we talked about a while back of the legitimacy of the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
Or some of these other belts. Maybe in a lot of ways it does, because if that title's almost untouchable to everyone else, then they need to then all go and seek the others and put some, again, more legitimacy back into those, because unfortunately everybody going for the same belt is really starting to diminish. Again, look at like the run that Gunther's had.
Yeah.
You know, are we going to put him in the top 10 because he held, you know, that Intercontinental title as long as he has? Where again, that's why I'm really intrigued to see what occurs. I know we're going to get into the WrestleMania card here soon, but that is going to influence where he ends up.
Right. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Having some whoa. Wait a minute.
How did this happen? Talk about duration.
Wait a WWE run. Wait a minute. Everything you said about Roman Reigns in this reign, and it's important to the title or whatnot. You got Mysterio ahead of him.
Well, I'm deferring here. I look, he's been doing, like you said, I'm trying to follow along with what we believe, how they're using that same criteria, because of a lot of what you pointed out with it taking place outside of the WWE, because of what he did with what Mysterio did with WCW. So there's no denying, you know, his relevancy and how long he's done it. But again, what do you think, Gully? I'm torn. But Yasmin, I'll defer to you. I think he's torn too.
I'm sure he is. I mean, like I was saying earlier about Roman, I think he should be higher. But also with Ray was definitely, he's one of my favorites, and he's definitely remarkable. But to put him higher than Roman, some people could probably put him higher than Roman, but he has a great work ethic. That's not, you know, can't deny that. But to put him higher, I don't know.
Durability. He's capable of giving you the same match at his age that he was able to do 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
That does mean a lot. Like if you ask him to take certain steps, he will do that. He was able to get his son Dominic over. You see what I'm saying? Like, to him at number 12, greatest WWE again. And this is why I know this list. This is why I feel justified in making this list specific to the WWE run of any of the superstars mentioned. You see what I'm saying? Like, what he's done in WWE is on the level of what Ric Flair has done, perhaps. Again, Orlando, it's because I think it's from the box.
It's the feuds that he had throughout, like almost by decade. Yeah. That again, he's time has passed, but Rey Mysterio has been like almost timeless in that respect.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of superstars you can say that about.
Right.
Because we're talking almost 30 years.
Yeah.
I think they're giving they're putting a lot of not only just that quality, but like you said, duration.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen, I mean, everything that they're listing. You know what I'm saying? His ability to have a match, his ability to go with technical guys, to go with guys who you think legitimately can win a fight, to play big in big moments with big personas, and to have great matches and great storytelling and still be worthy of the fans to see. Like, he's still at a desired attraction. He don't look aged. He don't like. Are you tired of seeing him for real?
No, I mean, he revived the LWO.
I don't even like the LWO, and I'm glad he revived it. I never liked it to begin with. I'm like, oh shoot, like, but only a guy, maybe his best friend Eddie, you know what I'm saying, could be capable of doing so. But him at 12, I think his WWE body of work and the long-standing traditions that he's been able to sustain, I get that.
Now, okay, so how do we get this then? because we just talked about duration, and we have a lot of success from Kurt Angle, both as an Olympic champion and as everyone knows. But should he be behind some of the people that we just listed?
WWE, I don't know. He took everyone by surprise when he
when he was
elevated to that guy, to be one of the guys in the era of Steve Austin and The Rock and Triple H and Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle. Like what? But then for him to hold his own, for him to make a great story match with Brock Lesnar, he did.
See? But now
he did. But what justified his run in TNA being worth watching? Come on, man. Because what superstars did TNA make? They did give AJ Styles a chance, but aside from that, TNA was watchable because they took talent that WWE thought was over with. Who did they make? They'd be like, oh man, he coming to WWE? Nah, it was always looked at. I think it was predominantly looked at as the opposite.
I don't disagree with that statement.
Right, and so it was because of what he did. Who did he clash with? What did he make work?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Yasmin, any thoughts? I think, yeah, I'm with you. I just think it was too flash in the pan-ish. We just talked about a guy for 30 years, and now we got a guy that had a great year.
Yeah.
6 years, man. Come on, man. Think about it.
I know, but it feels like a year when, by comparison.
All right. How do you take fans legitimately having heat with you and working that in? You suck, dude. You suck.
Right.
He made that work. Like, guy, that makes other guys fold.
True.
The Rock folded because of that and then reinvented himself. Kurt Angle dealt with it. There's a difference. There's a difference. Fan rejection, he endured it like the neck, like the broken neck that he won a gold medal with.
Wow. Well, all right. We'll keep it moving then.
Watch this.
Oh.
You tell me now, people, listen, love him or hate him, you tell me look, I don't even think we need to talk about it. Let's just go to the 9 people ahead of him and then see if it makes sense.
Right. No, I agree.
Like,
here we go. Here we freaking go. It's on now.
Pause before. How?
Hang on, y'all. I gotta step away for 1 second. 1 second. I'm gonna step away for 1 second. Hang on, y'all. Hang on.
Don't cuss.
No. It's none of that.
I think your dad would have when you see this list.
I'm gonna step away. Give me 1 minute. Y'all.
All right.
Yep.
Let's go back to 10 and figure out why 9 is such an atrocity.
Oh, what has happened?
9 WWE superstars greater than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, you talked about, if you want to talk about Triple H being a master politician, all right, fine. His blueprint was Terry Bollea. Okay.
Oh, 100%. Mr. Perfect, I believe, was his kind of predecessor, who's kind of set the stage for his character. One of the guys we had talked earlier on the list in the top 40 or so.
Okay.
I'm looking at how, but again, I talk about pivotal figures, people that are still to this day, like there's kids to this day saying, doing the, talking about the Pythons and the brothers and
right. The promo. Listen, this is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm glad you said that. He spent time in IWGP. He spent time in TNA, and of course in WCW. The promos you remember are the ones he cut in WWE or WWE.
Right.
What is the first statement that they make?
What, the then, now, forever?
No. No, reading this.
Oh, from here.
From here.
Okay.
What is the first statement that they make?
Oh, wow.
As we know, it would not exist. I'm sorry, let me quote them correctly. Professional wrestling, as we know it today, would not exist without Hulk Hogan. Then how are there 9 superstars, greater superstars, than the guy that made it possible? He legitimized everything that what it meant to be a superstar. He had a persona in the industry known as fake, known as theater. Exactly. And he remains a draw to this day, even surviving the racist comments that he got in trouble with, right?
Right.
Even I can recognize the policies that he played, I think deprived him of further greatness and respectability among wrestlers. But to be able to legitimize professional wrestling in the way he did, bro, he really couldn't even wrestle.
Right. I mean, you talked about guys like John Cena that have gotten kind of the same type of, slack of not being able to perform at that caliber.
Yeah.
But
how?
I'm
all right, on that. Y'all. Sorry to interrupt. I'm so sorry. I know y'all having a wonderful combo.
You good.
Ooh, I had so much fun, y'all. I'm so serious. I had so much fun talking about top 50. I know we didn't get through the whole list together, but for now, I'm signing off.
She's seen enough. I'm
signing off.
See, that Hulk Hogan listen.
She just said, forget it. Hey,
I'm signing off.
Hulk Hogan at 10. There ain't nothing more to say for her.
Yeah.
I'm signing off. Thank you guys so much for having me. I had so much fun talking to you guys. And you know what? I was happy to replace my dad today. So y'all ain't have to hear him today.
Absolutely.
But thank y'all for having me.
There were more inputs on that pod track.
I'll tell him. I'll let him know for sure. I'll let him know. He's definitely gonna, he's gonna know. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much for holding it down.
Absolutely.
No
Always
problem.
welcome.
I have fun. Thank you guys for having me. I'll catch y'all next time.
All right.
So we're gonna try to make sense of the remainder of this list, because now you got Piper. And I mean, you might as well have Raven and his flock. I mean, I can't believe what this list has become.
They're trying to justify it. They gotta apologize for it. Ranking one slot ahead of Hogan on this list indicates how time and proper retrospect can elevate even one's significance. Bro, okay, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, CM Punk. All right, okay, I get that.
So now we're giving him the credit.
What do you mean?
You talk about some of these indie guys, and earlier with Punk, and now they're trying to say that he was the pioneer of such.
Well, here's the thing. His ability to get you to hate him and not care, and then still deliver. That is how many people were significant before him in doing that, right? I don't know.
It's not better than Hogan, man. Now, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. You're right. It might as well be. I just don't understand.
I told you.
Yeah, I don't understand this one.
You know what? Let's just forget it. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. Number 8, Shawn Michaels. His floor is definitely number 8. And you know what? I think there may be 7 ahead of him, but only 7. Certainly he's well within his right to be in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, he look, the Montreal screw job has him a part of it. The Rockers, Degeneration X.
Yeah.
Again, Razor Ramon, the list goes on with Shawn Michaels, and love him, hate him, he was awesome.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was.
Oh, speaking of loving and hating.
Whoa, there's a problem. There's a glitch in the matrix here. See, something's wrong with the formatting. There's the code. There is a stack error. There's a stack error here. Something's wrong with the Rock with 6 other people ahead of the Rock. Something's wrong. There's a glitch in the matrix. I'm telling you, man, something's wrong. Something's wrong here. The Rock is the evolution of what Hulk Hogan is and was. He is a big body with great mic work that could sell as a heel or as a face that makes you like him wherever, no matter how he goes in the ring, heel or face, you're still impressed and still kind of rooting for the guy, even if you don't want him to win. Right?
Right.
And he legitimizes the action that happens in the ring. And he's a better wrestler than Hogan. And when listen, SmackDown is named after a catchphrase from him. SmackDown is named after his mic work. That's how significant he is to the culture and to the industry. Who's number 6?
All right.
Whoa. You made the noise for it. You made the noise for it. I'm gonna let you make this make sense.
How else?
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. If you wanted to discredit Roman Reigns in the way that we did, or compare him, you just that's who you're comparing him to. That's the bar is. So again, we talk about stats all the time. Who had 2 of the longest runs as champion that again is still being compared to this day. And so I think, unfortunately, they didn't have a choice but to put him in the top 10. Now, should it be ahead of Hogan and some of those things? Well, technically, again, when we talk about champions and great champions, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We're almost there.
We've said
and so I don't love it, but I understand it.
Yeah, and see, this is the problem, right? This is the problem that we have across our culture when it comes to doing all-time greats. Nothing that you said will make sense. Very little that you said will make sense to a millennial or a Gen Z that is a fan of what they see nowadays. This is the problem with the list. Never too big for my buddy. Never, come get it. Come take it off then. Come on. You know where I'll be. We'll set it up. All right. We'll set it up at the Rocket Mortgage Field House. Okay. Whoa.
What?
Wow. Ooh, wait, 13-time WWE.
5? Well,
5.
There's again, talk about emphasis on titles. I feel like this is where you're starting to see, when I told you about those attributes playing out of their criteria.
Yeah.
That 13X champion is clearly weighing heavily on that. Again, and who he went against, sure. He came in his timing, I would say, certainly also is influenced by that.
Yeah.
Well, the way this is being set up, it really is starting to feel that way.
I read it, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Right. Again, pioneer.
He should be 4.
The streak, all of those things. This one I have zero problem with.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Him number 4. Yeah, he always delivered on matches.
Yep.
You know what? He don't really have the best mic work though. I didn't like him.
He didn't need to, but you know what? They did a great job of who he was, building around that you didn't need him to, say much, if anything at all.
Yeah.
They brought in I almost said Paul Heyman, but Paul Bearer for that.
Yep. Yes, that's correct. And I mean, he delivered. I can see him at a solid 4. Yes. I don't doubt that at all. Number 3. Go to number 3.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Number 3.
Talk about some of those promos a little earlier.
Yeah.
Those are withstanding the test of time.
Exactly.
Those have taken on a life of their own. What he did with Slim Jim, the branding.
Yeah.
He was in the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about it again. He was rumored to be in another movie, from what I understood prior to his passing. So, again, there's certain characters that again withstand the test of time, that are truly in a class of their own, and he is absolutely one of them. When we looked at the fact that they put him ahead of Hogan, I think is a rather interesting take because of when they actually competed. Typically how that went in, again at Madison Square Garden. What are your thoughts on this?
When you look at him versus Hogan, he's actually a bit of a smaller guy.
Mm-hmm.
But his persona was that he was a big.
Do you remember that handshake though? Do you remember just
Hogan's massive arm versus that handshake? Yeah, the mega powers. Yeah, I mean he sold everything. You really didn't know what type of person he was. You know what I'm saying? And he had great matches. He had great mic work. He was funny. He was inspiring. He was I mean, bro, they sold spousal abuse as an angle in WWE in the 80s. Now that was crazy, but they did it, and
it was a little
it was a different time
foreshadowing, as well with what was going on in between him and Elizabeth.
Yeah. The third greatest superstar of all time.
But here's the thing: even if we don't want to, even if we say it's justified, when we say that, and then you say Ric Flair is 25 and he's 3,
that's where I'm trying to tell you. They're talking about the WWE era. That's the only way that would make sense. That Ric Flair is miles away. It's several exits away from. First of all, they're juxtaposed, or whatever how you want to say it. They're opposite places. If you say that, but that's what I'm telling you. This list has got to do with their WWE tenure.
Yeah,
it can't factor in the WCW tenure or the NWA tenure of Ric Flair because it doesn't make sense that he would be ahead of that Ric Flair. But it does make sense that he is ahead of WWE's Ric Flair.
Right.
But should it be number 3? Oh boy, who's number 2?
Whoa.
There's only one
rattlesnake.
There's only one other person left. There's only one other name left. There's only one name. Don't say it. Think of it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know who it is. Mm-hmm. You have it in mind. You know who it is now. There's only one other name left. It's impossible for it not to be. But why is he number 2? 6-time WWE champion, 2-time Intercontinental Tag Team champion, King of the Ring winner, and they didn't even list the fact that he's a 2-time Royal Rumble winner. The first consecutive Royal Rumble winner that the company had. Cody Rhodes being the second. Without Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE likely loses the Monday Night War to WCW. And who knows what the landscape of what it would look like today. That man was the promo he cut, surviving the neck injury, to go and win the title, to make the business as real as it looked, right? Like,
oh, absolutely. You know,
Yeah,
he pulled up on the Rock when the Rock was like fishing over that bridge and supposedly threw him into the, you know, into the river.
Threw the title. Didn't he throw the title in the water?
Throw the title. Yeah, the title
he
was
threw
thrown
the title
after.
in the
Yeah.
water. Like, it was like, yo, this is out of here. I don't even want this thing. Threw it in the water. Like, he was that guy.
Beer with the beer truck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, again, this is like they pointed out, the Monday Night Wars, and you know, just what a time to be alive for those that to experience. Again, that stuff is all on YouTube today. It is absolutely worth any time of your life spent getting acquainted with it.
Yeah.
Some of the best promos ever cut
to
this day. And you can understand why, you know, the purists, if you will, struggle with where we are currently. You know, thanks Linda McMahon for wanting to be a politician.
Right. But Stone Cold Steve Austin was I mean, he was fierce. And he had great matches. This is what I'm saying. He had great matches. Like he did not have a boring match. Like, he had the Undertaker break character before the Undertaker really broke character. Remember the I want to say the King of the Ring match he had with the Undertaker. At the end of the match, Undertaker came and shook his hand.
Right.
In the middle of the ring. That's not what the persona of the dead man does in any incarnation.
Correct.
But he did that, and it was justified. You know.
All right, let's wrap this list up so we can get to Wrestle Freaking Mania.
All right, so by now you know who number one is. I know you know. Ain't but one name left.
The Montreal Screwjob.
He is my favorite wrestler. How is he number one?
He had the company in a chokehold for about 2 or 3 years, I want to say. But to me, when you think of Bret Hart, you can think of Shawn Michaels. And so if you want to put him in somewhere on a list, I get the Montreal screw job. Everyone knows of it. Everybody, people were in disbelief. They couldn't. They didn't. You know, they're blurring the lines of, you know, reality and fiction. But is he to suggest that he was the best of all time? I almost feel like they're trying to give him. They're trying to pay him back.
Okay.
Because he was awesome. There's no denying that.
He's my favorite wrestler. I feel like I had the ability to be objective here. He is my favorite wrestler. But when we talk about greatness, we're looking at past my bias. Why is he my favorite wrestler? Because he made everything believable. He was a smaller guy that wrestled with big guys and made it work. He always lived up to the challenge. He could take a beating and he kept on going. He told great stories in the ring. From his loss to British Bulldog, his loss to Owen Hart, okay? His loss to Yokozuna, right? His big wins over Undertaker, over Ric Flair, right? Over Diesel,
right?
Okay, over Shawn Michaels in '92 at Survivor Series. In addition, you know what I'm saying? Right? In '92 at Survivor Series, right? He could tell great stories in the ring, and he made you believe that wrestling was, in fact, real. Like I say, my argument...
Absolutely.
If I wanted to argue that wrestling is not performance theater, I would put Bret Hart versus Mankind... No, Bret Hart versus Cactus Jack inside of a steel cage, and dare somebody tell me that is fake.
Agreed.
That being said, the greatest superstar... If I say a name to a casual or non-casual fan, they may not know who Bret Hart is. And his era was the same era as Stone Cold's. Or no, it was slightly before, but around the same time. But if I say Stone Cold Steve Austin, people know what I'm talking about. Across backgrounds, across ethnicities, across generations across nationalities. Superstardom implies the ability for that person to be represented, be recognizable in its own world into the world that it doesn't exist in. A superstar, if you say The Rock, people understand. People still call him The Rock, even though he has not necessarily went by that name for like 15, 16 years, until
just recently.
Yeah, unless he steps back in the arena. To the point now he bought the name. But remember, he was Dwayne Johnson. The Rock. He went by years. Tonight Show. Dwayne Johnson. Movie. You still know him as The Rock. Bret Hart is the best wrestler of all time, but even as my favorite wrestler, if you're trying to sell me on superstars, he won't be the great. He ain't good. I'm not saying he's not good. He's one of the greatest, but he don't fit to me the criteria you met for the greatest superstar, the greatest WWE superstar of all time. Was you watching the Monday Night Raw? Was you watching the Monday Night Wars for what Bret Hart was going to do?
No.
That's what I'm saying. And that's my favorite wrestler.
Yeah, and again, I can't put him at one. I can
certainly put him in the top 5.
Sure,
but
without question, right?
It would have to be some combination of Stone Cold, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, and maybe you could argue The Undertaker. Some of those 4 would have to be number 1. Bret Hart would probably be 2, maybe 3.
Right, and even that could be deemed controversial.
Yeah, but I could sell that on 2, maybe 3. You almost
as number 1.
Yeah, you could almost make the case that John Cena is number 1
of all time, though.
Hey, listen, remember, we got to be objective here. Like, and John Cena said it himself. He was like, "Listen, people hate me. I know the smart marks. They don't like me. They boo me all the time. But guess what? When I go to arenas and we do the after the arenas, when they're doing all the ticket sales, when they're doing all the merchandise, how many John Cena t-shirts moved? Right? Who moved the most merch?
Yeah.
John Cena. Now, when we say that, understand that when I say that and I make that point and I resonate with that point, is because, who make the most money is one thing, but when you talk about you coming into an arena to buy product, we're not talking about record sales where the company gotta go find you, so it pushes you out, it pumps you out to the world for the world to buy something. I'm talking about you go to the concerts and it's everybody's stuff available. Whose stuff are you buying? You're buying mine. You're buying John. You're going to pick up. You got everybody's there, right? And you're going to pick buying John Cena's.
And you're right. And you had every kid with, wristbands and headbands and a hat, and
they can get a Randy Orton t-shirt. They can get a Beast Incarnate t-shirt. Heck, they can still get an Austin 316 t-shirt. But what were they getting? They was getting John Cena's.
Right. Valid. All right. Well, with that being said, let's move right on to this weekend. And we're going to kick things off right away with night 1, The Rock and Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins. Who you got?
It's got to be Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins winning that. There's got to be there's a story that has to be told that The Rock, to his credit, interrupted but set straight. There's going to be a fracture between The Rock and Roman Reigns that's going to cause Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins to win. You got to break that thing apart enough. You got to chisel that thing just far enough for Cody Rhodes and to be the Stonecutter's credo. Look it up, Jacob Reese. Jacob Reese. To make that happen. It's going to be a great match because you got great talent there. It's great to see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in tag team competition opposite one another. That's going to be. I noticed I haven't seen everything, but I'm not certain if WWE has ever hinted at their previous relationship before. But Orlando, if I'm not mistaken, he can't win. He can't compete for the title if he don't win the tag team match.
Well, we're gonna find out.
No, that's what I thought it was. I thought that was in the promo that the Rock had cut. Was that if you don't, because you say you're not going to win, right? But he can't. Yeah, he can't win the title. He can't compete for it if he don't win the match.
So they have to.
Yeah, that's what I thought the Rock had said. The Rock said, "Oh, it changes the match to a bloodline match." What the heck is a bloodline match? Orlando, you got to text me what a bloodline match is.
Yeah, whoa.
Wait a minute. No, I thought the match was he has to win that in order to compete for the title. Because if you say when you win and you won't be able to compete for it again. Which means no holds barred. Oh, so if he don't win, then that means he got to go through pretty much a gauntlet on night 2. That means we got to see more of The Rock on night 2. That means The Rock gets more of the money for the TKO pay-per-view. Yeah. All right, Orlando. I didn't know it changes. I thought it was like, yo, you ain't competing. Okay.
Come on. Let's go.
So, okay. So, yeah, it will. The point is, Cody Rhodes is going to walk out of WrestleMania with that strap.
So does that tarnish? Okay, we just had that list. Does that do anything to Roman Reigns' legacy?
Absolutely not.
And I know we'll get there because we got night 2 coming up. But no matter what, the tenure or length duration of his title run, which has been long, but we're okay with it. It doesn't do anything in the long term.
Like I told you, I'm so enamored with what they've done with this title run and making it. The only thing left to do with the story is end it. That's the only reason why I want it to be over, because that's the only thing left. I'm not necessarily ready for it to be over. You understand what I'm saying? But that's all that's left to be. I'm not necessarily tired of. They can keep kind of doing the thing, but really that's the only thing left. It's the only thing left to do with the story.
So that's going to lead into the next match here that we have, which is the Women's World Championship. Someone who is not listed, which is Rhea Ripley, the current champion, versus the man Becky Lynch, who was listed. Who you got, and should Rhea Ripley be in consideration ultimately for that top 50?
I hope she successfully defends her title. I know that titles typically change hands at WrestleMania, but I think it. I want Rhea Ripley to win that, because I think she's a deserving talent to take this stage and beat a former champion to legitimize her ability. Plus, it sets the seed for a greater feud, so that way they can take this into SummerSlam, and maybe Becky Lynch wins that SummerSlam. But I think Rhea Ripley needs to be able to have that. Yes, Megan Alba. Yes, Rhea Ripley. Yes, I'm on my Ripley.
Yep.
Pick, okay.
You know who I'm with Orlando as well, and I'm with you, Gully, as well on that one.
Yeah, you better
and get Rhea Ripley on that top 50 as well.
Remember, when we go off air, just blink twice if you're in trouble, okay? If I see a bottle of Lucia hurled at your head, I'll know direction to look.
All right. And so now, speaking of people, once again, people that were not on the list, you have the Intercontinental match of Gunther, who's the longest champion. And that seemed to matter only for Bruno Sammartino, no one else. Every other Intercontinental champion was listed, but not him, against, of course, Sami Zayn. Who you got?
I think Sami Zayn
She's a better China.
Yeah. She's the evolution of China. Yes, absolutely. He will be just fine. Yeah, because you're gonna be on the couch. That's why. You'll be on a couch. Hope you got a lazy boy because you're gonna be there with your pajamas with the feet in the bottom.
I say Gunther retains. I don't see that changing hands.
I like Sami Zayn to win that. I think though Gunther's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn, for the work he's put in, for the adversity he's had to deal with outside, I think it's significant. Going to Saudi Arabia and not being able to perform there, we were looking forward to pleasing that crowd, and through I think that personally was damaging for him. And I think he deserves, for what he's been able to, the stories he's been able to tell, I think he deserves a chance to maybe make history, to break the streak that Gunther has. Gunther will be just fine. The two of them doing a long-standing program would be great. And though the reality would never exist, though we need to get a hold of that DeLorean, the two of them in some type of world championship match would be great. Sami Zayn, because I think he handled it. Yeah, correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have, of course, the brother matchup with Jay and Jimmy. Do we close the chapter on this?
Man, it was a long time coming. I don't know who I think wins this match, and
I don't either. Because naturally, who you
wait,
pick?
Wait. Jay is the heel. No, Jimmy's the heel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be great for the heel to win that, actually.
But where do they go from there? That's the thing. Like, that's why I'm wondering, like, is this where they bury the hatchet? Is this the end of the, again, does the bloodline walk out of WrestleMania to holding hands with the original members back as well? Or is it just completely broken?
Yeah, see, that's why I think the heel got to win, because you're right. If he beats him, if the face wins, then what do you have if the face wins? If Jey Uso wins,
do they hug it out at that point? I mean,
and then if they do, are they going to somehow compromise the Rock and Roman? Are they somehow going to compromise the bloodline?
I do. My bold prediction is that Solo Sikoa is the X factor, potentially in more than one match.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it may not be this particular one, but we may see some interference up here.
Yeah.
Which could influence the result actually going to Cody and Seth. And then, of course, at that point, we'll say he gets chewed out day 2, which we'll get to. Then it'll have a kind of a rollover, ripple effect into that as well. So, oh, wow. All right. So the tag team match, there's a lot of different directions you can go here. Who's going to get the push? I mean,
it's half the roster in the match. What is going on here? What is going? Why?
I wanted to hear from you.
I don't even know what to say. I still got, bro, half the roster's in the match. Like, yeah, you're right, Orlando. Like, I don't, a 6-pack ladder match it's just gonna be. Listen, if I'm on the front row of the crowd, I'm wearing protective gear because what is going on? So wait a minute? Are there champions going into the match? Like, is Judgment Day the champion right now?
Yes.
Okay, they might as well bring back the Hardy Boys.
Ooh.
Like, why is all them people in the ring at the same time? Like, what are we going to be able to pay attention to? Like, tell me, what's the focal point of this match? Who's going to stand out?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, obviously, the New Day is kind of just coming back. Again, I think I heard some news on about Big E more recently that he may or may not be cleared. I'm not sure. Um, Again, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. But the Miz and R-Truth. I mean, R-Truth has been affiliated with the Judgment Day. I'm not sure
what the heck is going on.
Does the New Day get the push and the belts change hands, or do they somehow end up staying with the Judgment Day?
It sounded to me like in all this mess that they got going on, right? Because it's both tag titles. It's all 4 tag titles. I gotta go.
Seriously?
Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Man, just go to the next match, man. I don't even know.
All right. All right. Then, of course, we got Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade versus Damage Control. I'm going with those 3. Damage Control was hot, but I've watched them lose a time or two. And there's usually some infighting.
Yeah.
No surprise, our host.
Right. What does Mrs. Alba have to say about him? Huh?
Right.
Talking about Bianca all the time. I would love to hear from you in the comments.
Hey, now, wait a minute. Somebody on our list here. Look at that. We got Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio.
A great match.
I love it.
I cannot wait to see that.
When they wrestled, what was that? Oh my gosh. Just about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
That feud did not disappoint. I'm glad it's back again. The whole deadbeat and you're not my dad and all that was just brilliant. And of course the match itself didn't disappoint either. So including apparently it was not scripted for the sister to splash the water.
Really?
Yes.
No, you won't. We're not talking about Double Dragon on the Nintendo. Dragon Lee. Yeah, we'll be dragging you out there on the stretcher. You get out there.
All right, so that leads into night 2. And so here we go. We're going to start from the bottom, work our way up here.
Yes.
Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. Look,
Final Testament wins that match.
Ooh. I'm not sure. I'm gonna roll with that, and we'll keep going. LA Knight versus AJ Styles. Again, LA Knight not on this list. AJ Styles on this list. Who do you got? This is gonna be great.
That's gonna be a show stealer. And I think
I get like you could co-main event that. Like it is that good.
Yeah. Who do you like winning that? I can make a case for AJ Styles in his final lap tour, winning this match to kind of propel him, because LA Knight's going to be all right. I think this is a match where for LA Knight's career, perhaps behind the scenes, he needs this moment. He needs to experience this moment to learn. He needs this moment to, I think, fully grasp like the final test before he goes and he takes his win and he gets that Bruce Leroy type glow. I like AJ Styles to win this match, but I think it's going to be darn entertaining. I really do.
I'm going to go LA Knight. I completely agree with the rationale. I wouldn't be surprised if it was AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I just think they want to, I don't know what the next steps are in, like you said, kind of that final lap tour.
Yeah.
See, and that's kind of what I mean, that like you can't lose that match. And then like, where do you go from there? Like, is LA Knight the new Dolph Ziggler? Like, they can't possibly do that to him.
I don't think that they will. But see, for that reason, yeah, you're right. I think LA Knight would need to win over AJ Styles. AJ Styles in this final lap. He gonna end up with the belt around, with some belt around his waist before he retires. You know what I mean? Even if he gives it up, even if he takes a belt into next year's WrestleMania and then drops it, which I wouldn't be surprised if that happens sometime around SummerSlam or Survivor Series. AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes. Never mind. I'm just straight. LA Knight though. Yeah, y'all got me thinking. LA Knight probably does win that match to go to get bigger heights to bigger titles, U.S. title and Intercontinental title.
Which could be impacted by this next match.
If somebody don't
US
take that
championship.
somebody
threat
take that belt.
Is someone taking the belt from Logan Paul? Is it, and if so, is it Randy Orton or is it Kevin Owens?
All right. If they've both
wouldn't it, does this not sound great? Like you said, leading into the next one, Randy Orton versus LA Knight.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I'm like, all right, LA Knight beats AJ Styles. Then he challenges Randy Orton, beats Randy Orton. Now LA Knight is positioning himself to be on the outer track, merging himself into the championship main event lane, and beating two of the superstars of the last era, of the last decade, would be an ideal way to do that, because he's certainly believably and capable of doing it, and then having actually done so would be phenomenal. I think for that reason, Randy Orton ends up with that title.
So now wait a minute. We're gonna say Sami Zayn gets a belt, but then Kevin Owens does not.
Yeah, because we're talking about LA Knight's progression. Kevin Owens and LA Knight. I think Randy Orton has more that he's capable to give if he does the job for LA Knight than Kevin Owens does. You got to build a guy. If you want to build a guy, you would build him by beating the best of the generation. So the kind of like one of the best that's on his way out. And I mean, Randy Orton and AJ Styles, they're similar in age, I believe, but they kind of like aging out. Kevin Owens has still got life. He's still got time.
Does that cause a rift between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? And that is
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, while we're chewing on that, okay, women's championship, Io Sky versus Bailey. We seen Damage Control a little earlier, night one. We said they ended up on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be a WCW, NWO Soul Without. Where the NWO lost every match on the card. It was their pay-per-view, named and branded after them.
Yep.
Yeah. Bailey is her time again. Bailey is her time. I think so.
Wow.
I think so.
All right.
I think I like Bailey in here. All right.
Well, and now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. And
World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins champion versus Drew McIntyre. Drew has had a taste of the gold before. He's brought
it's been a while.
Yeah, I forgot though. Was it WrestleMania 36? Right?
Yeah,
it was the COVID.
Yeah.
It was the COVID WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot that's 4 years ago already.
Unbelievable.
And in the WWE in the WWE timeline, that's like an eternity ago.
Right.
Like people forget that. You know what I'm saying? That's,
if not now, is it ever going to happen? Again, I'm going to keep throwing Dolph Ziggler's name around.
you know, because I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. We ultimately don't know the politics at play in the theater of professional wrestling. But I don't know what they look at. Number 2, D-Runk, number 2.
You want to tell them who number 1 was?
D-Runk, would you like to know who number 1 was? I'll tell you. Montreal Screwjob. I'll let you figure out who.
Yeah. So, like you said, politics at play.
Yeah. I don't know what would prevent Drew McIntyre from being a guy that's capable of having some great runs, having a great year with a title, having a great year with the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know what stops that from happening. He don't get injured that I can tell. I mean, he's got a look, he's got a move set. Yeah, bro. Yeah. No.
It was Bret Hart.
My favorite wrestler, I don't believe is the greatest wrestler of all time. He's the greatest superstar of all time. You understand what I'm saying? My favorite wrestler, I don't believe is the greatest superstar of all time. But yeah, Bret Hart. Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, because you're doing commentary. So why else would he be there? He ain't gonna be there to just say nothing. I think costing Drew McIntyre the title to benefit Seth Rollins would be the ideal way to keep them all tethered together, because Seth Rollins will never be able to say, yo, without you, I don't have my WrestleMania. I don't have a WrestleMania moment that I can win. And Drew McIntyre was like, man, I really don't like you, and now you got in the way of my. Yeah. Yeah, Bret Hart number 1. Yeah. So for CM Punk to cost Drew McIntyre his opportunity, thus benefiting Seth Rollins, allows a healthy CM Punk to go either way when he gets healthy.
Yeah, and that's true. Yeah, and again, in spite of him, like you said, because of that moment, your WrestleMania moment was because of me.
Yes,
which just would make him not even want to look at that belt.
Yeah, exactly. And he can cost them, and then he can compete for it. CM Punk can compete for it when he's healthy, and he can. And man, I just hope he can stay healthy, man. I think at this age, depending on what type of superstar you are, at a certain age, some injuries start to rack up. I hate that he tore his muscle that way, because it kind of maybe casts doubts or legitimizes some of the negative opinions that people may have of him. I hate that he injured, but I certainly think that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I agree with every bit of what you said. However, I think it makes more sense that he screws Seth Rollins over, because they will keep them together regardless if he has the belt or not, because of their disdain for one another.
Oh, okay.
And then him wanting to, of course, gain the belt, and there's your direct tie back to Drew McIntyre.
Yeah,
because that's who's holding it. See, it's an easier attachment if Drew has it than if Seth has it.
Okay, so you said CM Punk costs Seth Rollins the title. Drew McIntyre wins it, but Drew is gonna want a piece of CM Punk when he's healthy, just because.
Oh, well, at that point, he's certainly not going to be, sending him, get well soon. So.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just going to be one of those mutual kind of eye stare downs while he's, lifting himself up and, and hoisting it, the belt over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Knowing you're next type of thing.
Yeah. So now the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, the head of the table, versus Cody Rhodes. Let me explain something to you. You don't adopt the moniker Final Boss by not being the final character you face. Okay. Cody Rhodes is going to have to deal with The Rock during this match.
You sound so certain of that.
You don't call
why. Where's that coming from?
You don't call yourself Final Boss and not be. Come on, dude. Can you beat Street Fighter 2 without facing M. Bison?
No.
Do you beat Mortal Kombat without facing Shao Kahn?
Unfortunately, no.
Do you beat Tekken 3 without facing Ogre and True Ogre?
That's what I was gonna see, is if you had both. Yep.
Yeah. So how do you face Final Boss on night 1 and he don't show up on night 2?
And this is where Solo Sikoa turns and at least levels the playing field.
That would, yeah. This would be, yeah. Can you see The Rock turning on Roman?
We're seeing this is where I'm going to say no. And it, part of me, I could, and this is where it could go. One of those two is I could see it.
Yes, I can see The Rock turning on Roman at a point where he feel like Roman ain't got it enough, and then let me see what it is. And then The Rock, if he wants to continue wrestling again, The Rock puts himself in the world title picture, inserts himself in the world title picture by challenging Cody. At what's the next after that?
And that makes me want to vomit. I can't believe you said it like that. No, we don't want him.
Final Boss has to show up on final night. Otherwise, there's no such thing as a final fight. That's one of my barber shop J-isms right there. And cue the comments. I give him 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, you're gonna be posting the comment that he says, yeah, he heard it. I know he heard it. It's gonna be that on our Discord.
So I hope you're wrong. I do completely agree that he will be visible. There is no way, for all the reasons you said. I hope you're wrong, because I don't. You brought up so many points a few months back about why The Rock isn't number 1 on that list, essentially. And for all those reasons are why I do not want to see that occur.
What?
That he isn't enough. We've had him before, right? We've talked about this. And yet here he wedged his way in, because remember, this was all theoretical when we talked about it previously, that he was even going to be a part of this. And now you're talking about, not only is he here on day 1, but now he's here both days, and potentially he's going to be here next week.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe, have you seen any in your algorithms on your socials, have you seen any of the articles or Raw recaps talking about how great Monday Night Raw has been in these last few weeks? Have you seen them?
I was hoping you weren't going to say that.
Okay, here's my question for you. Do you believe they are organic or manufactured in the plant that processes nuts?
Well, you know what? If birds are supposedly controlled by some third party,
right?
Then who's to say that those weren't manufactured as well?
So
because
what I'm
remember,
saying,
you remember those posts that occurred when we had this very same discussion, that theoretical discussion then about what Paul Heyman had said, and then now look where we are. So
yeah, I The Rock is gonna make a significant presence on night 2. And his presence on night 2 is what is going to be the thing that Cody Rhodes needs that Cody Rhodes uses to capstone finally achieving this moment.
But doesn't that dim his light?
Not at all.
Cody Rhodes was not listed in that top 50. Wasn't even an honorable mention.
Nah, he should have. I get why he isn't. I understand why he isn't. Because I think that even in this list, I feel like the staff got fatigued because it's too many people. We don't have the memory of really if we think about the details by which we rank players or we rank rosters, to go through 50 of a company of 70 years and to get it right, we done forgot so many people. Right? How did Sting end up on that list? Oh, because he's not a WWE superstar. He had a moment, but right? Why ain't Sting on the list? Remember,
valid.
Like I told you, they bought WCW's history. They bought ECW's history. You ain't see what's my man name? Sabu? Not Sabu.
Right.
Yeah, Sabu. Right? You ain't see him. You did see Rob Van Dam. Right? Before I get lost on my point, it's so many names. Cody Rhodes should have got a spot in the 40s. I mean, Daniel Bryan did.
Well, he got a spot
in the Daniel Bryan got a spot in the top 50. Cody Rhodes and this body of work, being able to make Stardust work and then leave. You know what I'm saying? I like it. I dug the theme music, by the way.
Not Stardust. Come on, we're not putting him in the Mick Foley category.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, yeah, he deserves it. But I can tell you that's where these lists get long. So he deserves a spot. But I think the capstone to the story is surviving the interruption of The Rock. And that's the key. That's the key. So you're not going to see The Rock just in night 1. Ain't as much revenue there if I'm healthy enough to be there in night 2. Remember, this is a business. Okay. See, I didn't know that it changes the stipulation for night 2.
And that's huge.
Yeah, so that makes it all the more plausible that you will see the final boss.
Absolutely.
It could be the final boss. It could be the bloodline match. What if he has to get a pinfall?
Right.
And what if he could somehow win the title by pinning The Rock?
This is what I mean.
So I mean, like Roman Reigns get the Bray Wyatt treatment. He loses his title by not losing it. Sets up a feud between The Rock and Roman, which is what people wanted to see. But with a story being told of Cody getting this belt and then starting his whole trajectory.
Oh my gosh.
See what I mean?
And at that point, the bloodline at that point is done.
No, they're even if they're not done, there's so much. There's already stories to be. There's the tag team match. There's the Jimmy and Roman versus The Rock and Jay and Solo. Right. There's so much you can do with the Samoa heritage. That's its own subsect of key matches. You got Jimmy and Jay now able to compete in solo competition, in singles competition. They can also be a tag team. You have a volume of things that you can do with them. But if you have The Rock as final boss and gets beat by Cody for all the trash he done talk, bringing up his fact that he is a stepchild, he the half sibling. He deserves one. Like Cody need to get one on the great one for real. You know what I'm saying? I think that's how it can happen.
Wow. Well, all I know is it's going to be one heck of a freaking weekend, and we're gonna have to recap and see how these things ultimately play out.
Yes.
And any final thoughts from you before we ultimately call it a night on this one?
Well, final thoughts. Thanks to the fans for sticking around this long.
Yeah, no kidding. This thing went longer than the Lord of the Rings, and we still got a bunch of us with us.
Right. Then the extended cut. Yeah. So what that tells you is that say what you will, professional wrestling deserves a place in American culture because there are great, interesting stories to be told, and there's a lot of a real scenario, real life stories that can also be intertwined and told in professional wrestling. It's very, very captivating, and it's enriching in terms of what the things that color our lives and move our moments. You know what I'm saying?
Well, again, we're going to recap this when we come back, of course, next week. So
yeah, looking forward
everybody
to that.
else, we appreciate you guys staying on with us, and appreciate you all. Those comments were certainly the driving force and always the lifeblood of what we do. So until then, we'll ultimately see you guys next week here.
Next week on the Shop Report. See you.
Awesome.
All right, now appreciate it.